Hey, thank you for follow already, games. Probably not going to be talking a whole lot because I'm going to be focusing super hard, but thought it'd be fun to stream at least a couple times. Polynemios, thank you for the follow. Not sure how to pronounce that. And Deuter on, thank you for the follow. Polly's fine. All right, awesome, thank you. Oh golly, all the followers are coming in. Chef Skywalker, hello. Hopefully I'm not too distracted by the Twitch interactions. So we'll see how this goes. And Evil McGenius, thank you for the follow. And Boot Nebula now following. Please don't cringe too hard at my awful rig. This is like my rigs are normally pretty awful, but this one's like bad even for my standards, but whatever. It's not like I'm trying to make super high quality animations or anything. Yeah, they just need to be enough to get the point across and to convey the game feel. That's really what's most important, is that it feels good to fight, not that the animations are like, you know, like film quality smooth. I even think that they're too smooth as they are. They're too smooth as they are. Like all the animations they don't blend, but um, there's no like animation blending. I don't really know if that was really a thing in PSX. And even if it was, that would probably have been for the like higher um, quality, like the Vagrant stories and stuff, the games that are known for their graphics. So there's no blending, but all the animations do start and end at the same pose. There's not a lot of just like, oh, they're standing and now they're like this, like in the next frame, just like pop. So at least there's that. The feet usually line up as well, outside of like when they like rotate to face the player, right? They just kind of just like rotate. So the animations are okay. But yeah, like Hierarchy 95 said, as long as the brick's getting swinged, and it's good to like counter and get the dodge and feels crunchy when you get hit. That's all that matters, especially for this style of game, which is great. Pressure's off. That being said, I do like getting The poses. It's this, you know, it's less the movement, at least for me, for a game with an FPS that caps at 20. And it's more about getting the poses down, getting them nice and strong. So luckily these characters, you know, don't have eyes or anything, so it's not like you can kind of just infer where they're looking. Like this character's looking at you, you know, go like this. You know, that character's looking at you. So it's pretty nice. I mean, I've said this a million times, but once when your aesthetic looks like this, I'm sorry, I'm missing all the follows. Hold on, I'm not used to getting this much traffic. Oh shoot. Um. Oh. Herrick95 is now following. I don't. Where is my like notification queue? Oh my gosh. If anyone else followed and I missed a shout out, please let me know. I'm really sorry about that. I'm not very Twitch literate. I'm hardly even Discord literate. Like I just I just make games. I'm Twitter literate. That's it. Um, just saying. DD is not following. They give it a follow. Okay, so we got our first pose. So I'm not really sure. I'm self-taught animator. So I'm not really sure if this is like the correct way to do it. But what I like to do is just get the. I mean, I know it's good to get the keyframes down first. I know people usually do stepped as the first stage. I don't really like that. I kind of prefer. I should be having it interp between the keyframes, and now it just helps me more with timing and like getting the flow down. This is capture I made. I got this capture like a couple days ago. I think 2 or 3 days ago, not including the day off I took yesterday. Okay, so I like to make the feet and the root motion linear, just because it's easier um, to get everything to line up. You don't have to fight the Bezier curves, which I know is common in video games. I see the symptoms a lot. But this character does like 2 steps with their left foot, like bam, bam. That's really weird. Like left foot step and then another left foot step. They square off and then no, they like weird, very strange. That's fine. I can make it work. It's Bloodborne. Here comes the traffic. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, it's so strange. They like the character like widens their base, and then they kind of lean forward. So they're kind of wide, and then like they lean forward and then take a step forward, which is like okay, like, I get it. Ugh. Okay, so we really gotta. Um, thank you, just Vonade for the follow. Really appreciate it. It's a shame because I have enough followers to like become a partner or affiliate or whatever the heck the name is, but I don't stream enough. It's like the requirements are really high. Like I'd have to like really take time out of the rest of my day and like the actual development to become an affiliate and actually make money with like ad revenue and stuff. I just don't want to do that. It's like you need to stream like twice a week. And like I don't that's a job, you know? I don't want to like turn streaming into a job. It's just like a fun little thing I do sometimes. But whatevs. Okay, so it's kinda like this. I mean they plant their foot. Yeah, okay. And then we're gonna do the anticipation. Really big anticipation. This character, the trolls, because they're so easy to I'm assuming they're designed for this. A lot of the early enemies are really like they don't do any fake outs. They're kind of just like, okay, we have a really big wind up. They hit when you expect them to, including the cleric beast, to really help you get that in. And that's why the trolls are so good at the dodging. Or at the countering, the visceral attacking, or whatever the heck you call that, staggering. I don't know. But yeah, they have really big anticipations. Okay, but it's good to get the keyframes down. This is probably going to be pretty boring. Byron Stripe is not following. Thank you very much. And Oh, Noble Demon's now following. Hi there. My name's Trap. I just want to drop real quick to say what your work is super, super cool. Kind of mind blowing. Thank you. Um, but yeah, a lot of game development is just. I mean, animation's fun. It's super slow. At least for like when I first like learned what animation was and went into it, I'm like, it's taking forever. Like with like Flash animation back in the day. You look at it, it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of really silly, like scribbles and like like what I do in MS Paint, except they move, and then you realize what it actually is. And it's like, oh wow, this takes forever. Like, I have a lot of respect for these people now. I feel like it's true for a lot of people who kind of get into animation. Like back when you're a child, and it's just like you don't really know what it is, and then you learn that it's just a bunch of drawings, or in this case, it's a bunch of posing. Did I keyframe that? Oh, good. Yeah, it's just like, holy smokes, this takes forever. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather right now. I'm gonna do my best to mute the mic whenever it happens. But I'm sorry if something slipped through. Okay, so these characters don't have toes. Because like they don't. I mean, they have toes. I mean, it's inferred. I mean, but you can see how low poly this character is. I don't. Um, how do I turn on Blender 2.8 plus interface? I'm still not fully used to it. There's a way to turn on. Okay, well, I mean, you could look at how low poly this character is. There's no geometry here to form for toes. And even if there was, I probably wouldn't rig it because I'm not sure if that would be something a PS1 game would put the effort into. But yeah, so they just kind of just clip their feet to the floor. That's fine. Totosh is not following. Thank you. Okay, so we really bend that knee. Gotta lean it forward. Yeah, they're really leaning forward here. Yeah, I mean, I, it's I'm not really too like attuned to the Souls fandom, so I'm not really sure. This might be an incorrect assessment, but I feel like a lot of people don't fully appreciate the animation of Bloodborne because it's definitely not like please look at me focused, like a lot of other prestige video games do, like Uncharted. Oh yeah, Uncharted. And Last of Us Part 2 and um what's the cowboy one? Red Dead Redemption 2 at least. Or yeah, it's definitely very like focused. Like, look at how good our animation is. But Bloodborne is, and the rest of Dark Souls is extremely good animation. But it's purely functional. It's just like um, the only purpose for the animation is to drive good gameplay, and they do such a good job at it, and it is just incredible. But it is definitely like background. It's not background. It's animation in a way where it's doing its job, so you're not really paying attention to it. Um, because I mean, I'm sure you all know this, but like 80% of the Souls combat is just the animation. It's just like the AI is actually the actual like code-driven AI is so simple. They just navigate, they just pathfind to you, and then they play their animations, and that's it. And they play their attack animations or they play their dodge animations or whatever, and that's where all of it is. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's so heady the combat. You need to think 10 steps ahead of your opponent." And it's just like it's just because the animation is so good. And like the most complicated, at least that I've discovered at this point, as someone who has to really immerse themselves into like the mindset of the developers, is the most complicated it gets is that how the animations and like the moves can queue up, right? Like the ogre does the shove, and if the shove lands, it will queue up the jump attack, and that's just perfectly set up and timed. So it feels like the ogre is thinking really hard, like, oh, I shoved, and now they're on their butt, so I'm gonna, slam them with the brick. But it's all just pre-animated, and there is a tiny bit of code going off that just says if the shove hit lands and the hunter is on their butt, then just play this other animation immediately after, and it's all just timed correctly because that's what animation is, just timing, right? Timing and poses. Okay. So right now the animations, I mean, it's stiff. Animation is always, PS1 animation should be stiff, but it's still a bit too stiff. But focusing more on a foot is sliding. We're focusing more on just getting the animation finished, and then we're going to spend a lot of time polishing it to get it up to code, get it up to standard. And like I said, it's not like animation film quality standard. More just we need it to convey, to the player, like you should dodge now, or you should try and counter now, or you should attack now. Like that's all that matters right now, or that's all that matters at this point. So it looks a little stiff, but it's like a big. This is, I think, like one of the biggest fundamental differences between 2D and 3D in all formats, just like modeling or animation, is that unfinished 2D art usually looks really good. It looks as good as the finished art. It's just obviously in an unfinished state, but your brain can kind of imagine what the finished piece will look like. June Bash, thank you for follow. But unfinished 3D art usually looks like complete garbage until like the last 5% of its development. Like I'm sure, I mean, I don't really know because a lot of 3D artists don't really share their work because it looks like complete garbage until the last 5 to 10% of the art piece's development. There was one, I really wish I saved it because it's really good. But get the I like kind of, I'm trying to do more of a two-step process for the feet, where like when in the middle of the height of the arc, the toes pointed down, and then right before the foot plants, it points up, right? And then let me actually place this correctly. But yeah, there's this animation I saw. I think it was just like Spider-Man doing a front flip, and it looks really good. Like super high quality animation. And then they showed like here's what it looks like after 15 minutes of work, and it looks awful. I mean, I don't want to say awful because it's unfinished. It looks, but it looks like a really basic, super floaty. It just looks bad. But you see the final result, and it's like, oh yeah, that is a beautiful animation. It is incredible. It's just that when it's unfinished, a lot of 3D art does not look good until it's unfinished. Unlike 2D art, where it's like, this art is not finished, but I could still, it's like, oh, it's half of a face, right? And it's still very sketchy, and very obviously unfinished, but you can still see what it looks like because the structure's there, the final structure. That's how 2D art works. So I'm sorry, I'm just ranting about the intricacies of 2D and 3D art. I should be focusing on animation. Okay. Sorry if I missed any of the shoutouts for followers. I feel like I missed a couple there. Okay. Damn, we're punching that camera. I think I might change that. I don't really like the two-step, or at least I can't get it to work. So I might just have that slide, the left foot there. I might just have that slide and then do the step, or I might just not have it slide. I might just have it plant. Well, I think Lady Maria and the Living Failures are kind of showy. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Lady Maria would be a really good point. Definitely. But I would say that is definitely more an exception and not the rule. It's not like I open a door and it's like, holy shit, this door opening animation. Oh my god. It's, like, there is like a fancy door opening animation, but that's more to contribute to the grandiose of the atmosphere and not just like, look at how much budget went into this game, and yeah, the majority of the door opening animations are just very functional. This is a style of game where a lot of the animations are purely functional, and yeah, there are some exceptions. And Bloodborne, I would say, is definitely a lot more showy than like Dark Souls. Showing off, it's kind of like the aesthetic, right? Like even in the the hunters dress the way they do so they can intimidate people with their imposing figure. Like okay, sure, you're gonna say you wanted the game to look cool. But yeah, even then, the hunter does have a little bit of like flair to them in their animation step, but they're still very functionality first. You know, like they do animations because they need to perform functions. You know, your character doesn't the character doesn't flip her sword like Link and Twilight Princess does, right? They just kind of just um, they just do what you tell them to, and they don't react to anything. I mean, they don't react to anything like plot wise. They will react to game mechanics, but that's kind of it, right? You know, they get hit, they fall over, obviously, but um, it's not like oh my god, the blood moon turned red. They just stare at it with their blank face expression. Okay, so I think that's it's not a swing, it's a punch. So I should probably lower this down. YB says, I feel like the environmental details a lot more show the animation generally. Absolutely. But definitely not in a way that I would say draws attention to itself a little bit, but there's never a moment where a character goes like, wow, look at this environment. Like a lot of the show-offy AAA games do. So someone made a montage of Uncharted 4 every time, so it went, wow, look at these graphics. It was really funny. It was there was like 8 instances of them in that game. It's really fun. Okay, let me just look at this animation. This is probably going to be the most complicated animation for the troll. I don't. There is a moment in Dark Souls when Solaire goes like, "Wow, look at the sun." But I feel like there is an actual narrative reason for that. Um, but yeah, for the most part, they just build a beautiful world and drop you in it and expect you to stop and look around at some point. And you do. I mean, I feel like a lot of people do. Um, Instead of like going like, "Hey, look at this, look at our effort we put into this game." You know, they expect you to stop and just like stare at the background at least once in the video game. In the video game, you have full control of the camera. Might as well. This is. I think I might break this down into top half, into the torso or into the center of gravity and the feet first, because this is my goodness. Hold on, let me just check on Twitter. Sorry, I got to keep up with that. Okay, so we're just going to. There's so much footstepping in this. Oh, God, the feet. I gotta say, animating the bottom half of the character. Sorry, J9 Craig is not following. Thank you. The bottom half of the character is like 10 times more difficult to animate than the top half, in general. Just because of that's where the motion comes from. Everything at the top is kind of a little more reactive. Um, like when you walk in, your top half is kind of just reacting to your body moving and swinging your arms around either as a reaction to your bottom half moving, right? And even for attacks, it's definitely like your feet lead, and then your arms follow. Unless you want to do something a little more stumbly, where it's like, oh, they lead with their attack and their feet kind of shuffle to keep up, and that's arguably even more difficult. Okay, so this feet, it's like that left foot takes like 5 steps before the right foot does. 3, there we go. Okay, so that's a really good pose. See, just look how strong these poses are. They're so good. It's a shame there's so much gosh darn motion blur. Okay, so it's just bottom half. You go back a little more. Also, I'm pretty sure my troll's legs are shorter than the trolls in Bloodborne, the original. which I actually lengthened them. I posted a little time lapse earlier, and the legs were even shorter. Um, so this is a raised foot. We are falling into that punch. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I totally lost my train of thought there. Um, okay. But yeah, the legs. So it does. I do have to kind of interpret it a little bit. It's too late to change them now. So I'm stuck with what I got, but it's not. It's not bad. You know, let's tone that down a little bit. And also just for the sake of a game being at incredibly lower resolution, it is good to kind of exaggerate the poses a little bit in general. But the poses in Bloodborne are also well exaggerated. I don't really need to push it that far. Because I was really expecting, like all the subtleties will just be gone. When your game is like, uh, 240, 320 by 240 resolution. Like, so I was like, oh shoot, like I'm not sure if like all the subtleties of Bloodborne animation would really come through, but there is subtleties obviously, but a lot of it is conveyed so well through a lot of really strong, exaggerated poses, and it is so good. I had the sneaking suspicion that Bloodborne is a very good game. Chat. Oops. Don't quote me on that, but I think Bloodborne's pretty. It's pretty good. Yeah. There are definitely some animations that I'm afraid I'm just not gonna be able to do this justice. I was terrified of the Cleric Beast. I feel like he did a pretty good job with Cleric Beast though. Um, or I'm just like I feel like I'm not gonna be able to like do this animation justice, even like with the built-in excuse of it's a PS1 game. Yeah, it's a very hot take, might be. Okay, so that left knee is a little bit further. I am learning a lot of animation stuff though, which is great. Um, just from because, like I said, I'm self-taught, so I have a lot of really bad habits. That just comes with being self-taught. Um, just clobber him with that brick. So just studying a very well animated game, just up close, is great. Who'd have thought? But yeah, I'm learning a lot, specifically with like the lead up to a strike. You definitely your shoulder is like 2 steps ahead of your hand, right? Um, and that's just something I really had difficulties with in earlier animation projects, but I'm really, really getting it down here. Because I gotta like I said, this drives gameplay. So if these animations are bad, your game is bad. It's really that simple. So get a little bit down there. Like I shouldn't be focusing too much on polishing it. We should just get the whole thing in, then we'll worry about timing, and then we'll polish it. So streaming Bloodborne PSX development like I'd be coding anything, just animating. Okay. Why did I choose the most difficult animation? I was like, I should have done hit reactions first. So, because getting it implemented into the engine is just as important as actually animating it. I'm sure that would be fun. YB says, I think it's one looking pretty sick so far. Thank you. But yeah, like I'm pretty sure a lot of people like know what the animation process is, even on a fundamental level. But like seeing it implemented into the game engine would be more interesting. So should have made something a little bit faster. Well, that is look at that. It's one frame, bam, super snappy. But like look at how good that punch is. Like you look at it. This is another thing that really pisses me off. Is when people who don't really have a history in animation, like look at animations frame by frame and like point out the smear frames. Less so in this game because it's very realistic. But like they look at like an anime and stuff. Like look at the smear frames. It looks awful. Um, like you look at this frame by frame. This looks a little weird, right? It's like okay, cool, cool, cool. And then like bam, oh, it's way down there. But when you look at it in motion, it's just so powerful. Look at that, bam, bam. Like it's so good. It's a lot of issues with like animation critique is that specifically like unprofessional animation critique, just like Twitter animation critique. Like, oh my gosh, it's just so they just don't know the fundamentals, so they just embarrass themselves on Twitter. You think that'd be pretty rare, but sorry, I'm just complaining. I'm just venting about Twitter. I don't know why. Shar17 is now following. Thank you so much. Guess we are this. Nope. Okay, one thing that really bothers me is this video previewer. Blender has like a full-on video editor here. And you can see right here, I'm not sure if you can see on the bottom, but this orange is the buffering. So when you're not buffered, Blender will lag until it buffers the frame or whatever the term is. So now it's fully buffered and it's cached, so it's fine. But if you Control Z, you lose that buffer and you have to do it all over again. So every time you make a mistake, you have to buffer your video, or you're gonna have laggy Blender, and it's really bothers me. So just don't ever make mistakes, and then you're fine. Sorry, I catch my chat. Rudy Games said you mentioned before that you're only remaking. You mentioned before that you're only remaking a small part of the game. Have you thought about using what you learned here and going to make a full Souls? Like, absolutely. Um, I've like made an entire code base here. I can this is a full game. This is not some like hacked together thing. This is probably the most competent code base I've ever made. Arcus's code base, the indie game I made beforehand. That code base is hot garbage. Because I was kind of learning as I was making that game. That was like a tiny little learning project turned into a full game. So there's a lot of garbage in there. So that's probably my worst code base I've ever made. And then there have been some. If you look on my itch.io page, there are some. There, it's mostly just game jam games. Probably the one closest of which was called Sorcery. That one has probably that's like a proto version of Bloodborne PSX in terms of the code base and like the um yeah. Uh that was definitely me taking steps to learn how to properly make a code base to like, make a actual game out of. Um it's not just a bunch of code assets and art assets slapped together and just like, oh my god, how do I make this work? But they don't really communicate together, so things are super janky. Um, so or like code assets that have been purchased and like YouTube tutorials, like code YouTube tutorials of like how to make a ladder and like how to open a door and like or like how to open a big door versus how to open a small door, and you have two different YouTube videos telling you how to open two different kinds of doors that go off of very different assumptions of how your code should work. You're going to get a lot of conflicts and it's going to be very annoying, trying to get those two things to feel cohesive. But like I'm finally at a level of skill and understanding that I can kind of make a lot of these things by myself, and I can design them to work together. And that's kind of what Sorcery was, the very early version of that. Saving was a big one. Hold on, I should get this pose down. Here we go. Left arm up a little bit. Cool. But yeah, so getting back to what I'm trying to get at, is that yes, this is a very good code base. I'm probably going to make my next game will definitely be using this code base, my original IP. Do you prefer big door or small door? Big door is very flashy and very intimidating, but small door is definitely underappreciated because it is used everywhere. And I would say in most cases, big door is like a subclass of small door. So small door definitely underappreciated. The real goat. So please, every time you open a small door in a video game, just understand how much effort went into it. Okay, so just for me, okay, just say thank you, person who programmed a small door. I know it's a big deal. I know having enemies to go through the door and like have the character go through the door and like make the door locked and unlockable and all this stuff. Holy smokes! Thank you for doors. There was someone, programmer on the Assassin's Creed team, and they were just like, yeah, early Assassin's Creed games just don't have any doors in them because we didn't want to bother. I just want to hug every programmer responsible for doors. Absolutely. Give me 1 second. There's a kitty here. No, don't run away. Oh, sorry. Anyways, yeah, so small door. But what was I talking about? Right. I'll definitely be making my next game using this code base. This is a very scalable system that I wrote. For the express purpose of um using it in the future. Having it be super scalable. Does this character take a step with this punch? Okay, so punch. Okay, so punch, and then but yeah, so I'm not sure if I will make a Souls-like. A lot of the fundamental stuff has nothing to do with a Souls-like, like opening doors or climbing ladders or equipping items and upgrading items. That's something you can use for like any type of game, or at least any type of like third-person action game. Anyways, so I'm not sure if I'd make a Souls-like. That's kind of a tired genre at this point. I want to do. I'm a little more experimental with with my games. This is the most like, jeez, come on, leg, you can do it. Stretch for me. Um, but yeah, this is the most like normal game that I've made. You know, because it's a fan game of an existing game that got popular. Um, Due to it, being a somewhat normal game, but just pushed to really, really good extreme levels. But it's like Dark Souls is or Soulsborne is basically just Zelda, just with different priorities, right? Don't spread that take around. I'll get canceled for that. But what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so I'm not sure if I'll make a Souls like, but I'll definitely be using this code base in the future. So yeah, maybe even my next couple of games. This might be just be something that I take with me for like the rest of time, that I just take and improve upon every time, which is something I noticed. Like that's definitely something that not a lot of people really notice is like the fundamentals of code base and how it can be improved upon in future games, just like design or character models or graphics or animation. Graphics and character models and animation fall under graphics, but yeah, where it's, I don't know. I feel like it's something that a lot of people really take. I mean, like they notice, but they don't really get to fully appreciate that. When a code base evolves between sequels, it's just as if not more important as like any of the visuals evolving or the design or the scope or anything. This is a very strange. What's that brick? Yeah, programming's fun. The end. Uh, Yeah, so it's definitely just like as soon as that right hand comes back, that left hand just juts right out. Like he's pointing at you. He's like, I'm gonna hit I'm gonna hit you in the face. The hitbox is, I mean, I could show you. Hold up. Code. Well, what happened to my? Oh, right, I cleared my Here we go. Playing in super slow-mo. We'll be printing the trace hits. They're sphere traces. It's like I said, it's all based off of a code base, so it wouldn't be something super unique. But here's the traces. So it's kind of like the forearm to the brick is more or less like this is a swing arc right here. It's pretty big, which makes it kind of bullshit, but you know, like I said, this is a lot of very easily tweakable stuff. There's just a couple of numbers that you punch in, and then the code base handles the rest of it. But yeah, so for example, if we make it instead of 70 radius, we can make it like 25. Yeah, so this makes a little more sense, right? So you can like see the arc. So it's actually not the brick. It is derived by the bones of the character. So I mean, I should probably put, if I want to be more accurate, I should probably put the damage bone, like the socket, at the end of the brick, not the end of the hand, like you could see. Like you see, I'm pointing. Is my mouse not capturing? There it is. Like it's like right here in front of the. Get a better angle. Right, so here's the hand. So the actual damage check is right here. I should probably put it up here if I want to be a little more accurate. Luan Huber is not following. Thank you. So that's like super polished though. That's like, you know, we got like a month until the game's out. Let's just stop all development and just polish. But yeah, it's more about just making sure it feels right than like getting the super minute, super minute details in. But that does lead to like, oh my god, he hit me, but he totally didn't hit me. Like, you know, F this game. This game sucks. Kind of moments, you know, like rage quit moments. So it's definitely a lot of the fine tuning stuff happening. Okay, let me focus on finishing this animation instead of going on huge rants about like the intricacies of like code bases and programming and 2D versus 3D animations and modeling and stuff. Okay, so you go out. So you kind of like point at your target. Not really, but you know, you're pumping your arms as humans do when they, you know, do a flurry of jabs with a brick. I also realized I kind of made a little error with the ogre because the ogre with the like the cape is like the default ogre. That is like the ogre design, and the one without the cape is a variant. Not the other way around, which is what I thought. Because you know all the the concept art of the ogre or the troll, whatever they're called, the big guy, has the cape. This is the first one you see, like the mini boss. He's banging on the door. You know, it's got a little bit of a lead up. He's got the cape, and then it's only the second one you see, I believe. There is two of them under the bridge, under the boss bridge, the cleric beast bridge. There's two of them, and one of them doesn't have a cape, and the other one does, just for the sake of not having two identical models because there are standards for a PS4 game. So I should probably make the cape variant. I'm not going to make variations of a model for the sake of breaking up repetition because I do not care about that. This is the PS1 game. You know, you will fight identical characters, enemy models, and that is perfectly acceptable for a PS1 game. But I like the idea of introducing variants to indicate a different type of enemy. So obviously there are two different types of trolls: large brick and small brick. I would say like small brick trolls will be the cape, the large brick trolls will be capeless to make it a little more interesting. The same will happen with the Yarnamites. There's I have it on this whiteboard over here. We're gonna do four. I think it's gonna say there's like 6 or 7 different types of Yarnamites. We're gonna do 4 because having 6 different enemy types is a lot to ask for. Jimmy B86 is not following. Thank you, but let's see what we have here. We have the one-handed, the torch axe combo, the one with the board, and the one with the gun. So we're going to cut the pitchfork, and I think there's like 1 or 2 others. But so we're going to have 4, and they're all going to have different variations of Yarnamite, but they will all be identical. So all the one-handed Yarnamites will be the same. All the board ones will be wearing yellow, right? All the gun ones will be having the little top hat, and they're all black. Torch Axe one is the one with like the duster coat. I know nothing of PS1 tech. Can you get variations by shifting the textures around? It's probably possible. I don't like have a PlayStation 1 dev kit or anything. I'm not like that extreme of a programmer. I just make Unreal Engine games, let's be honest here. But I'm sure it's possible, but it's less if it's possible or not, and more just the expectations of a PS1 game and just like the smaller budgets that PS1 games had makes it less worth it. And also just the resolution is smaller, so there's less of a incentive for that. And also, hair's getting in my face. And also, yeah, actually, I could make an argument that having a bunch of different variations for the same enemy type might actually make the game less readable in terms of just like, okay, I make a glance at the enemies and I know exactly what I'm fighting, right? Which can be a positive. Like I would say that is kind of the whole idea of the like bonfire mob, the first boss fight of Dark Soul of Bloodborne when you fight like 30 Yarnamites at once. Like you don't want to be able to immediately read what kind of enemy types they are. You just see a mob of Yarnamites and it's like, oh my goodness. So I would say there are positives to that, but also I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get the Yarnamite mob in the PS1 version. That is a tall order. Have it run at 5 frames per second. I do have an arbitrary frame per second limiter now, so maybe I can. Okay, let me just. Okay, I am halfway through the animation. It's 110 frames long. I'm at 55, so that's not bad. I just need to. Okay, so he takes a step here. So he like raises his center of gravity. Okay, he's pointing a bit too hard, so let's push that back a little bit. I'm going to open a window, getting a little stuff in here, so I'll be right back. Okay, hello. Cafe Bonson says, "Oh my gosh, animating in Blender. I'm scared to is it animated and it's oh my gosh, I'm falling over myself. Animating in Blender, I want to learn it, but I'm scared of it. Is animating fun or a hassle in your experience? Animating is very fun. Getting the basics down can be a little difficult. But once you get it down, you really have to kind of persist through that. At least in my experience, it's been like 10 years. I'm not really don't have a full crystal clear memory of it, but I remember being a little frustrated. But once you get the basics down and just understand that like your first animations will probably not be that great, but you will get better, obviously. Hold on, let me just. Yeah, once you like your first animations are not going to be good, just like when you start with any skill. But they will get better, and they will obviously get better. That's kind of something I'm just starting to learn now that I'm getting a little older. Is just like I'm gonna have a new skill. It's gonna be bad at the start, but I understand how skills improve. I'm not too like, oh my god, I'm awful. Oh, I'm never gonna get better. Like, it's just not true. You know. So I'm gonna say I can't really tell because my character's head's in the way. But I think they take a step there. Okay, now it's too cold. Okay. Anyways, yeah, Blender plus Unreal. That's definitely my process. I'm using Photoshop for textures, and I'm not too tied to that. I'm just doing that because I just happen to have Photoshop. I'm not sure why. I should probably move to a more open source or a more open program. Not a big fan of Adobe. Okay, should definitely. Yeah, definitely take a step forward. I guess we're gonna raise the foot. here. We're going to raise the body because we're taking a step. Do you create the IK skeleton yourself, or is it pre-made reusable? I make it myself. Some of the enemies I recycle. Like for example, the ogre rig is the cleric beast rig, but I just heavily modified it because there's no point making it all over again. It's a giant, hulking character with 2 legs and 2 arms and a head, where everything should be. So it's not that big a deal. It's just that the cleric beast is obviously asymmetrical because their left arm is way bigger. But it's an easy fix. Yeah, you can easily make it symmetrical in Blender. Blender's really good with symmetry, in animation and stuff. Excuse me. Guessing Adobe supporting NFTs now, everyone recommending something called TSP as an alternative. Yeah. So I did not know they were supporting NFTs, Jimmy, but that's awful. I just wanna I don't think I've ever gone on record saying that. NFTs are awful. Don't I don't think I've ever made like a statement saying I dislike NFTs. You can kind of infer it, but I should probably do that at some point. Hey, you are really sticking your arm back here. You are ready to clobber this hunter in the face, aren't you? Aren't you, big boy? You're gonna clobber that hunter in the face with a little brick? Okay, so your foot's. So you plant your foot like. But yeah, I need to find an alternative. I'm also just not a big fan of it, especially for drawing. I've seen some quick clips like on Twitter and stuff of just like, look at me drawing in like Procreate or whatever. I'm like, I just look so much better. Like, you know, like if I want to edit a meme in like, sure, I'll use Photoshop, but like for drawing and stuff, like animation, like I don't know. Keep you above the x-axis. Keep you above 0. There we go. Oh, that's why. Not a fan of Adobe's business model. I hate the monthly subscription thing. I remember when Unreal Engine did that for like a couple of months before they just made it like free with a license. Uh, okay, so boom. So the ogre really leans into it, right? Just like bam. Just like super leans into it. I still use Photoshop CS4. Whatever turn it does. Is Photoshop CS4 the one they made free or whatever? I forget. I remember like they released one for free or something. There was like some asterisk in that free. Biggest edit model bonus points for Blender, triple bonus points for your hair. Oh my gosh, thank you. I got it dyed yesterday. My partner dyed it for me. They are so good at dyeing hair. I dyed their hair as well, but I can't say my hair dyeing skills is as good as theirs. It's really good. So proud of it. Very, very purple. How do I pronounce that? Jul Natalicio is now following. Thank you for the follow. Got as a student like 10 years ago. Oh god, that's what you're saying. Trideca underscore is now following. Thank you. Okay, so we're just bam. Um Also yeah, there's some frame pacing issues I'm seeing in this recording. Um no, I think it's just the animation. He just holds a frame there with this punch. You put my hunter. Could have a hunter model there so I can actually like yeah, his face is right here. Right? Hunter's face right here. It's not over here, it's here. Um Bam. I mean, I'm okay with being a little bit optimist. Excuse me. Okay. Bam. Jeez. What if I could just like copy a pose? Like that's the same pose, right? Like there and there. That's the same. I'm just gonna copy this pose. Don't tell anyone. Okay, it's actually leaned a little bit more, so let's just modify it. Uh, as a student, I got all the Adobe stuff for free. Years away from the school. Now my Creative Cloud account still lets me use all of them. I just use Premiere usually. Yeah, I'm Photoshop and Premiere. I grew up with Premiere. For some reason, my dad had a copy. He does IT. Uh, so I just had Premiere as a child, and I made really terrible videos. And I'm sure in the depths of the internet somewhere, I'm sure they exist somewhere. Should probably find them, take them down, or keep them up. I don't know. Yeah, definitely. He is a lot more upright in this pose. Okay. How long would an animation like this take you? A couple hours. This is definitely one of the I'm gonna say this is the most complicated animation for the troll because it's like a super huge flurry. So this one took a couple hours. Like my hit reactions, right? These take like 15 minutes. Let's see, hit front. Right, just like like this is 15 minutes. The back one. And then I would say it's really dependent on like the number of frames. Um, right. So this was a couple hours. The spin attack was a couple hours. Um, the slam. I think this is one of my first animations. That's like an hour or two. But yeah, the jab flurry was definitely that was looking very basic. This is the first pass of the animation. We'll patch it up later. Polygon did a cool video comparing. Excuse me. Polygon did a cool video comparing Bloodborne's animations to Muppets, and now I can't think of how about it any time I study the animations. I've not seen that. I should dig that up. You're definitely a lot more. Yeah, I also want to say the arms are a bit different compared to the PS4 model. There you go. But it's not that big a deal. Biggest lesson to learn Blender is using animation as fake user. Oh my gosh, the fake user thing. That is so awful. When Blender 2.8 came out, I'm like, oh my god, they must have fixed that weird fake user, like the shield thing right here. But they didn't. They just put a fancy checkmark shield over it. Like what? Like what is that? What? Like go away. Like that is so awful. Okay, we have one punch left. Boom. Okay. So it's boom. Boom. No jaw. On the troll. No jaw. I splurged and gave the cleric beast like an animatable jaw because they're like a super big character. Should probably have the frame rate drop a couple of frames when you're fighting the cleric beast, just to be a little extra annoying. Like that fight's at 18 FPS or something. um, okay, that's it. That's boom, boom. It's like upright a little bit higher, like. Simulated frame drops. Yes, simulated frame drops. Absolutely. Oops. No, I'm gonna have to Control Z. No. I didn't keyframe it, so we're good. That's more like this, huh? It's not like I can't. I think that's his finger. I can't tell because of the motion blur. I think it's like this. I don't know. It's like this or it's like this. I want to say like this. This is a little more correct for like, you know, I'm gonna hit you with this brick. Like my thumb is out, not my fingers. My thumb is out. Okay. It's yeah. There's a part where you kind of have to like interpret it and do your own thing, just for the sake of making sure your animation flows well. So we got to delay that by 1 frame. Then we do the, you know, lead with the shoulder, right? You lead with the shoulder, and then your hand comes after. That's definitely a holding. They definitely hold on a frame on purpose to make it more snappy. Drop the FPS all you want, just don't make it tank controls. Yeah, I feel like I kind of dropped the ball with the controls. They're a bit too modern. Like you don't even have to hold the button to run. Like, come on. Okay, so yeah, the hand's right behind. Work on the timing. I just copy and pasted some poses, so it's obviously not going to just look good. Really got to work on that timing. Yeah, this is a punch, not a oh dear, not a swing. So it's just bam, nice little triangle fingers. And there is a variant of this animation where he does another swing. I might just make it trigger a different animation afterwards. That I get like a swing animation that I have already. But just I prefer camera control to the right analog stick. It might be more peaceful accurate to pick the camera rotation L1 R1. But then this button can be used for attacks. That's actually what I'm doing, is the triggers. So if I can just, it's kind of hard to tell just by looking at the video, right? But let me see if this is actually on screen. Oh yeah, so you press L1 and R1 to rotate the camera, and up and down is automated. Hold on, I think I have some debug stuff turned on still. I never turned that back off. Off. And then the up and down movement, so let's just say I put a ramp here. Just, so put a boop, boop, boop. Come on, yeah. So if I put a ramp here, it will just automatically look up, right? And if I go over the edge, it will automatically look down. Very much like Ocarina of Time. So yeah, so L1, R1 to rotate the camera. I mean, sorry, L2, R2 to rotate the camera, and then obviously R1 and L1 to attack with your associated weapons, and then you hold to do the heavy. So you only have one button for each weapon, and then A is like context sensitive plus lock plus. Sorry, X. I have an Xbox controller. So the PlayStation X button is to lock on and use context sensitive things. So press X to look at this, or press X to pick up items, or press X to open this door, right? And then what does B do? B is dodge. Y is use your quick item. So yeah, so it's not press triangle to heal and then press square to use your quick item. It's just that healing is now a quick item. I just have pebbles now, because I'm now out of healing items. But so like your pebbles and your molotovs and your healing is all one button, and that opens up the X button for, this is going to be press X to walk. Actually, I'm not sure what the square button. I'm not sure what the square button is going to do. It might be hold square to run, or it's hold circle to run like in the original Bloodborne. But I also kind of like rolling to get faster, just like an Ocarina of Time. Like I think that's fun. I don't know. I really like that. So yeah, it might just be X to walk, or sorry, square to walk. because there are definitely places in Bloodborne where you are expected to walk. Like when you're on the rafters or whatever. There are a couple points in Bloodborne where you're walking around on rafters. Like I want to say there's 3 instances off the top of my head where you're walking around on rafters, and it's like, oh, don't fall, including the DLC. Um, Jimmy says, I guess the DualShock 1 was a thing, but even after it was released, the only game that took advantage of it was Ape Escape. Yeah, absolutely. So DualShock was a thing, but this comes into the whole issue of like support and backporting, like if you have a game that actually uses the DualShock, you cannot. If someone does not have a DualShock, you can't play that game. And the vast majority of PS1 users have a DualShock, so don't have a DualShock, so you can only have the joysticks do small things that wouldn't alienate too many people, So, yeah. But anyways, I'm thinking of Square being a walk button, but yeah. That's the controls, no joysticks, and obviously the D-pads walk around, and start is the pause button, and select is the cycle your quick items. I just control Z without thinking about it. That's not bad. I mean, I'm gonna have to polish it, but that's yeah. Okay. That is, yeah. So you kind of, like you got your sculpting in real life. You got your basic form down. To kind of get started on the refinement, right? I would say the same is true for animation. You get the poses down. They're in the right spots, and then you just gotta make sure the poses flow together well. And you got your nice like anticipation and your timing and all that fun stuff. Okay, but we gotta hustle, and because we're an hour in, we're not done with animation, so gotta hustle, get this out the door. Okay, so your shoulder is lower. You are definitely rotated a little bit more this way. Like you are. There we go. Yeah, because let's play Nightmare Creatures. Just to get back into the DualShock stuff. Casket Prospect is now following, and yeah, the D-pad, the joystick is mostly just like a D-pad emulator. In that game, just that you can walk if you push the joystick halfway, as something you can't do on the D-pad. And I think like walking on the non-DualShock is a I think you hold a button down. Like that's pretty common in PS1 games. You hold a button down to run or walk, and you default to the opposite, obviously. Okay, so you are actually there, and your elbow is very high. You have a high elbow there, a little higher shoulders. Didn't Tomb Raider have a rock run button? I haven't played Tomb Raider since it came out, so I should probably add that to my list of research games. I looked at playthroughs for like graphics and stuff. I really like how they handle water, but yeah, I haven't like tracked down a copy and played it. I think we have it for the Dreamcast, but that's not going to be accurate to what I want. Like I wouldn't be playing Nightmare Creatures in the N64 for the sake of research, right? Of a PS1 game. Let me take a step. He takes a step back a little bit. I don't seem to remember you can double tap up to and forward in later ones. Yeah. Yeah, the double tap stuff I'm thinking of. Maybe for the ladders. But like another thing is just like, I don't know, I feel like specifically with like the ladder stuff in Dark Souls, a lot of quality of life things. Like, oh, you hold the sprint button to climb up the ladder faster. You hold down to go down faster. Maybe I'll do that. I know Kirby 64 had that, right? You double tap up and down to climb the ladder or to fall down the ladder. Oh no, I'll think about it. That's a good idea though. Double tap, I like that. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to pronounce your screen name, JLN. I was going to call you JLN if that's okay. JLN asked, "Have you learned everything by yourself?" Mostly. A lot of I did go to school for a little bit to learn UDK. But I'm mostly self-taught. Definitely with animation and modeling. I just downloaded Blender when I was a child, and here we are. But come on, there we go. I'm gonna buffer the video again. But yeah, I'm mostly self-taught, and just when it comes to being self-taught, just like don't expect your first game to be any good. No matter how much time you put into it, it's not just like, oh, this game is good because I put 5 years into it. It's your game is good because you know what you're doing. And when you make your first game, it's not going to be. I mean, like it'll be good. It'll have a lot of heart put into it. But it won't be like a super polished, beautiful like video game just because you decided to dedicate your whole life to it. But Jalen is fine. Okay, thank you. But yeah, so like just expect to make, like when you're learning anything, just expect to make a lot of mistakes, and but you have to make those mistakes if you're going to learn from them. Um, so it is something you should do, and it's something you shouldn't be too afraid of either if you're looking into getting into the stuff. Well, then my game will need to be about a walking turd because it'll be so bad. Nice. Um, yeah, but you just gotta lean into it. You just gotta put your heart into it because that's all it really matters is just the amount of effort and like love and sweat and tears put into it. I shouldn't say that, but like just like the amount of love put into it, um, is really the important part. Like I wouldn't say like my first indie game. The first indie game I started, definitely not the first to come out, which is Arcus. I wouldn't say that is an exceptionally good like piece of programming. But like I put a lot of effort into it, and I would still say the art holds up a little bit. But regardless of that, it's my first game, and it's really important to me. And I would not be where I am today if I didn't double down and be like, oh, this game is not that great, but I'm going to finish it anyways because I need to learn. Um, so center of gravity goes back a little bit. He is now starting to settle back into his idle animation, so we're going to drop his like aggression a little bit, drop his hands, and then I'm just going to grab the idle, drop it at 110. Let's see. That is not bad. Right here, this right here specifically, that's actually like I'm almost okay with shipping that. Like, wowzer, it's just a little bit right here. Actually, no, I don't like it. I'm just gonna keep this. That's really good. I just need to do the left foot. Yeah, so the feet are sliding around a little bit, but that's fine. He takes a step back, or they take a step back anyway. So we're just gonna do this. This. Oops. Gonna do this. So the right foot is now planted enough. It's good enough. I'm not a perfectionist with my animations, it's wasting time. We do have a slide here. I'm going to make these Bezier curves so it looks too linear. Just right here, though. Basically, whenever the feet get off the ground, that's a lot better. But then you get the shivering. But you can't even notice. Okay. So now we just got to raise the center of gravity, just like that. Oops. Oops. Okay. Yep. Raise it a little bit more. Yeah, that's better. Okay, I'm just take a look at the curves now. Okay, that's where that's coming from. We're gonna do a little bit, settle a bit, so we're gonna go down a little bit. So it's whoop, like that, a little bit of a reaction, right? A little down up. There we go, that's better. Okay. Okay, now we're just gonna plant the feet. What? Excuse me? None of the movement is handled by animation. I'm not too sure what you mean there, Char17. What kind of movement are you talking about? The animation makes the enemy walk right independent. Oh yeah, so the walking is driven by the code. It's not driven by the animation. I want to say some games do that, which is fine. Which is not what I do. I want to say it is driven. I'm not sure about the source game. Doesn't really matter. But I want to say Smash Brothers. The animation is definitely what drives the movement. Um, it's a bit too high. Let's lower that a little bit. But however, I want to say that the movement in the attack animations. So this part right here, this will actually drive the character movement. But when they're just walking around, it is driven by the code. Raphael Vital 01. Just followed. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're just looking at the feet right now. It's still very linear, so let me break this up a little bit. Some of these parts Bezier. Just like the parts with a lot of movement on them. Press Control Z again. Um, oh, excuse me. Okay. Okay, so obviously the bottom half is. Well, let me do the top half and see how it all flows together. Yeah, so there's definitely some issues here. For one, there is no animation in the spots. A little bit. Guess still need to find footage of co-op action to beat the troll animation from the side. Good thing depth perception so good in Bloodborne. Yeah, if I was making an exact like a 1-for-1 exact rotoscoped copy, I would probably be spending a lot more time getting better reference. But I'm just it's mostly about just preserving the vibes, not like making just making an identical copy of the video game. This is interpretive, right? So yeah, I'm not too fussed. I just need to get the timing right and the poses generally in the same areas, and then I'm happy. Um, in fact, I'm probably going to turn this off now, just so I could focus on polishing what I have currently. This is kind of where I start to diverge a little bit. Is when it's like, okay, now I just need to focus on getting my timing down. I got the poses, I got the general area, the general timing down, but I got to get it nice and polished. That already looks better. Okay, so you are clipping through your face. It's IK. And we got to lead with the shoulder. Lead with that shoulder. No, we're going to drop that back. We're going to punch you out a little bit farther. We are punching through the hunter's head. Through the hunter's head. Right there. Bam. Lead with that shoulder. In fact, we're overextending. Let us. Nope. Still not strong enough. Bam. Yeah. That one, no, yeah, so you really got to delay it by a couple of frames. Lead with a punch. Bam. This is a little weird. Stop. Where's my elbow? There it is. That is probably too fast. Drop that. Okay, let's see how that looks. Is there really only 4 hits? I always thought it was 5. I mean, there is a big 5th hit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Okay. I mean, there's a 5th one in the variant, but I spent like small flurry, the jab flurry. Okay, that left hand needs some work. I'm going to switch to a chair. This medicine ball can only last me for so long. Back starts to hurt. Ugh. Okay. Yeah, the upper body is also pretty needs some polish. Okay, but we're polishing. We're making good progress. Yes, probably we just need to like really have that follow through. Yeah, like we're leaning a bit too early, and then really punch through with it. Yeah, you don't even animate there, do you? Okay, we gotta bring the front arm back a little bit. Okay, that's a lot better. I think the second one, just ignoring the left hand right now. We're just looking at the like this area and the hand. It's pretty good. There's a little bit of a weird pause right there. What's going on there? Who's the culprit? Who's the culprit here? What is going on here? Is it you? Strange. Yeah, okay, that's why. None of these are really properly. There we go. Okay, there's a little bit of a wobble right there. Just because these keyframes are too close to each other. Okay, we're getting very close to being able to actually implement this into the engine, which is the fun part. Um, Give me 1 second, actually. Sorry about that. Anyways, okay. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, get a little hyperextended there on the legs, but it doesn't matter. I'm not too worried about the mesh falling apart. It's a PS1 character. Like, why are they not looking like they're falling apart? Okay, so right there, and we don't really get that extreme. So let's push just. That's pretty good. Ignore it, but we'll do the left hand next. But that's I like that. It might not hold up at 20 FPS. I'm animating in 30 because I'm just the capture is at 30, right? Bloodborne's at 30, and converting the frames can be a bit of a nightmare in Blender because it's not. This is not a video editor. It has video editing things in it, but it's not that good. So I'm animating at 30, and then we'll just see if it holds up in 20. It usually does, shockingly. Should also look at it with perspective on. Radical idea: manual cheat code to unlock skateboarding mode. No, 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 no. Go karting mode. Okay, yeah. So this definitely needs a lot of work. This has been unchanged. So don't need you. Although Bloodborne skateboarding would be pretty radical. I just don't really know vehicle controls, I guess. I don't really know like the fundamentals of how to get those working. I mean, I guess nowadays it's a bit different, right? Like you're actually like simulating like shocks and stuff, but like um older like karting and skateboarding games, I'm not really sure how they've been well how they work on a fundamental level. Like a character, it's a physics ball that's being pushed around. Not like a physics ball that doesn't um rotate. It's just like in place. Like imagine you have a magnet and you have another magnet with a negative or the same polarity, and you're kind of just like pushing it around, right? Um, that's kind of what the character is, right? It's just a ball or like I guess like a cube that's being pushed around by outside forces. And the 3D model on the inside is just tricking you into thinking that that's the thing that's actually making it moving. I don't think that's the case for vehicles. And I haven't really looked into that, but I am very interested. I made a game with a car, but I use a template, and it's more of the like simulate the wheels and like simulate how a car actually works. Um, so skateboarding is very 90s, it's true, but Bloodborne cart's the meme. And you can't go against that stuff. You just can't. See, exactly. JLM would love to play Bloodborne cart. Okay, let's just JLN gets it. Yes, absolutely, Jimmy. I want to say Metal Gear Solid 2 has skateboarding mode, like in one of their like bonus discs or something. I'm not too. I'm not. I don't. I'm not too sure. I remember seeing skateboarding on the Tanker though. And I know like the like bonus modes and stuff in Metal Gear Solid are pretty crazy. also got to lead, or I guess drag, not lead, but follow, the exact opposite. Um, yeah, I don't like that. I'm gonna change it a little bit. I want to say so. There's Snake versus Monkey in Metal Gear Solid 3 and MGS 2. Yeah, okay. Um, yeah, it was definitely a separate mode that you selected. I remember that much. Okay, so we're very close to being finished here. Boom. And then the hand will kind of, kind of like just swing out because of all that energy. Then we just do an arc, right? If I had FK, this would be a lot easier, but I don't because my rigs are off. That's pretty good. The first two look a little weird, but then bam, bam, pretty good. Okay, really close. Yeah, what is happening there? Okay, so what? Yeah, that just looks. Yeah, I just want to keep that kinetic energy going. Kinetic, is that right? Kinetic energy. I just want to keep that energy going. Of the arm swinging out. There we go. So just bam, that hand comes out, then it goes in, and then bam. Yeah, this one's a little bit too long. This keyframe, this is the bad one. Substance and subsistence. Substance was the MGS2, and then subsistence was the MGS3, and then Metal Gear Solid 4 just didn't get one. I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you get really stuck there. It like hit some flypaper. Bam. Okay, so boosh. Okay. MGS3 got a subsistence. That's how they got the third person camera. Really close. I want to drag this behind by one. Okay, yeah, you are overextending here. MGS1 has some of the best economy of texture and poly use ever. Really, yeah, it's a very pretty game. I would say it's better than the remake on the GameCube. Although I never played the remake on the GameCube, I've only seen footage, but I would say the PS1 version just looks better in my opinion. Twin Snakes, yeah, Twin Snakes. I would say that's pretty good. I'm gonna put this in. The feet, I think I need another step in there. Hold on 1 second. I see that. I'm gonna put another step in here, right there. I'm gonna take a step forward. Well, golly. No, no, no. I'm messing with it too much. Okay. I'm not big a fan of the feet shuffling, but we gotta get this out the door. You know. Okay, so let us actually. We are done. Hooray! Let's actually get this into the engine so we can see it, what the actual implementation is like. Excuse me. So I got my export preset, jab flurry. Export that. Okay, we're finally in the engine. Import all our animations we've made. I've made. It's me. I made it. Here we go to control rig. Nope, not the threaded cane. Okay, what defaults? Okay, so here it is in engine. Pretty good. First thing I'm going to do is enable root motion so they stay in place. And the motion will then be converted into the capsule movement. And this is where, so Souls is, like I mentioned earlier, Dark or Soulsborne, I guess. What's the term now? Because that doesn't include Sekiro, right? I don't know. Anyways, I'm just gonna call it Soulsborne. The Soulsborne combat is very animation focused, so a lot of the code is actually triggered. At least in my instance of it, a lot of the code is triggered in the animation itself. Like the actual code is kind of baked in here. So I have like when to turn on the attack checks and when to turn them off. This actually drives like those capsule traces you were seeing. Elzen Sorsbornia row. Yeah, exactly. Um, like so those red and green hit boxes, hit spheres you were seeing earlier, that's triggered by these nodes right here. So basically when the attack starts and when the attack stops, boom. So our second attack, start, boom, stop. Third attack, start, stop. And then a fourth one, start, and are we overextending there? I think we're overextending there. Let's fix that. I might be okay with that. I mean, no, it's a shoulder. The problem is the shoulder. It's not far forward enough. There we go. So, okay. So, yeah. So, obviously, because I have a good workflow and just because Unreal Engine's really good at re-importing, we just fix that. There we go. It's fixed. Okay. So, yeah, it was the shoulder. That's better. And then to stop is right here. Boom. And that's it. I'm also going to do so unfortunately you can't copy and paste these, which is really annoying. But we're gonna do a trail, animation trail, which I think is forearm right to IK hand end right. There we go. So we got that nice little trail. Okay, then we got trail again. So I can't just like copy and then like paste. That would be so nice. But so I gotta do it manually every time. Forearm right, and then IK hand right ends. Then the next one. So I want to say in Ocarina of Time, this trail effect is actually what all the damage code is in. Because when you do Infinite Sword glitch, it just keeps the trail on, and like when that trail hits stuff, it damages it. But not here. This is just a visual effect, and all the code is handled by the nodes above it, by the keyframes, I guess. What are these keyframes? Done this a few times, so it's not taking too long. It took forever when I was in the Cleric Beast. Um, Probably also gonna maybe not completely redo the werewolves, but the werewolves are probably the worst enemy so far. In terms of just how fun they are to fight and how inaccurate they are to their PS4 counterpart. So I'm gonna be doing. I mean, they were never finished. That's pretty good. That looks really good. Okay, let me get a look at the sound. Um, I need the door. I don't have that audio clip yet. Okay, but let's get some sounds in. So I have a bunch of whooshes. I forget. I think I'm using. Uh, yeah. So countering. That's not in yet. I mean, it's the countering and the parrying and the viscerals. All that's in, but not for this character. I don't have the animations yet. So that's probably going to be a whole day, maybe even 2 days, just dedicated to itself to the visceraling and stuff. Because that's pretty complicated. But they will be parryable, yes. The preliminary, is it the right term? The code is in place. It's just disabled for now. Where's my whooshes? I forget which whooshes I'm using for. Look at swing. Do I not? Here we go. Okay. SPRJ. This is all in blueprints, yes. I'm just looking at my other animations. Okay, just one. Okay. Might make them 1.1 and 0.8 volume, so they're a little bit higher in frequency and less loud. The biggest thing that attracts me to Unreal's blueprints, I know zero code. Same. Like I understand the concepts, obviously, they're all the same. It's all the same thing, but I don't know like I can't make a game in Visual Studio, you know. Let's do 0.5 volume. It's really annoying. Can you copy and paste? I haven't tried Alt drag, Control Shift, Alt, nothing. Okay. There's now just a blue thing up there. Okay, that's pretty good. Sorry, am I streaming audio right now? Are you hearing the whooshes? You are. Okay, cool. Thank you, everyone. Pretty good. Okay, so we're gonna do the footsteps next. They won't be triggering any sound in the preview, but they will be triggering in the final game because it does. It checks what surface they're standing on and then plays the appropriate sound. And obviously, that code isn't executing when we're just previewing the animation. You actually need like the character spawned for that to work. But trust me when I say these footsteps are working. You're just not hearing anything right now. And we're not spawning particles or anything. We did for the cleric beast because that's like a huge character. But so we don't need like individual footstep left and footstep right. All we do is play a sound. Um, Same footstep effects for every game. Well, for the main character. Except for Bloodborne, because they had the fancy clopping heels, because the hunters are fancy. Yeah, if I was like super focused on the animation, I would probably redo the feet. I'm not really liking them anymore, but that's fine. Oh, and of course the big one here, the cooldown. Hold on, let me make a little another tweet. BB fashion needs some high heels, absolutely. Hold on, let me just make another tweet just to get some of that retention, you know. Okay, let us continue. Okay, so now what we need to do is put this into the animation montage, which is kind of just a holder for. I just heard a dingy. Cloud MD4 is not following. So this is kind of just like a holder, a holding point for all the animations that you can kind of, for all of the triggerable animations, the non-looping animations like the walk cycle and all that stuff. Scary Monsters TV is now following. Hello. The looping stuff is not really. I mean, they can be triggered in montages. I've done it once or twice, but in my workflow, these are more for like the one-off. Trigger it once, and then when it's done, go back to your idle animation or whatever. So primarily attacks and interactions. So like opening a door for the hunter, for example. That's just like a one-off animation that you trigger once, and then when you're done, it goes away. Um, so that's what I'm using montages for. So I have attacks and I have the damage, as in like the death and like the hits. But anyways, jab flurry. So shove. Okay, so jab flurry is what I'm calling this animation. And then it automatically loops it for some annoying reasons. I just turn that off. Okay, so now we're going to implement it into the code. So all of my attacks are right here. Let's move this actually. Okay, so this will be a short range animation. This is medium range. This is slightly less short range than medium range. Okay, so we're going to change this to short range and then medium range, then long range. Sorry, I totally missed who that was. Who just followed? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Why isn't that? Why aren't they queuing up? They should be queuing up here, but they're not. I swore Streamlabs had like a queue somewhere. Hmm. But thank you for the follow. Okay, so yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the attacks have a bunch of unique code in them. So I do have some instanced stuff, like the rotate to player and the attack damage stuff. But a lot of this, there's a lot of unique stuff, so I can't like bake all this down into a single function. I was really angry when I made that. So there is a little bit of copying and pasting. Shar says I should try delving into visual programming someday. Yeah, it's very fun. And yes, my comments can get very salty sometimes. Don't just ignore them. I mean, I don't know. If I release a code base, maybe I'll leave them in so people can get a chuckle out of it. Okay, so here's our jab flurry. So we will make this a randomized. Uh, behind. Hold on. Yeah. Okay, so this is player behind troll. Closely, if is player closely behind troll? If true, spin attack. If not, we're in front, therefore we should play the swing, the slam, or the jab flurry. Right here. Okay. This is randomly selected. Actually, they're selected linearly from a list, which I'm not too fussed about. You know, I feel like a lot of people put way too much work into like how the animations trigger by random, so they can't be predicted. But like when it's predictable, like when you're that invested in the game, but you can kind of predict what the character can do. Maybe not even intentionally, you can feel like you're intuiting it. Like I feel like it's fine. I kind of prefer that actually. And then, like speed running. I'm not saying I'm designing this game for sake of speed running, but like when people really get into it, they're like, oh, like if you attack and then just after 3.5 seconds, you're guaranteed to play the enemy will do a counter or something. Like that's fun. Like I don't know, like people see that as like a failure of design, but I really enjoy that kind of stuff. But anyways, so this one's a little interesting because it's not one attack, so I might have to change this up a little bit. Scary Monster says, I relate to salty comments. I've been called out on it a lot. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, so I guess the character will. Let's go back to our jump foot. Stevember is now following. So I guess hey, how's it going? Been following Twitter thread says Arthurius. Cool to see it. Thank you. Are we done? We good? Okay, so this is integrated into like the list of all the animations. So all of these will trigger. These are all of my attacks right now. Got the spin, swing, jab, flurry, slam, charge, jump, slam, and shove. Shove is never triggered by that is triggered by a hit reaction. So it kind of exists outside of the the tracking, right? I think every 1.1 seconds, it'll take a look at the player. And go, where is the player? Where is the player's location and the angle to me and the distance from me, and then I choose like from different ranges and if they're behind me or not, and then select the appropriate animation. But shove is not. Shove is only a reaction to being hit, so it exists outside of it. So that's why I'm not seeing any executes plug into that. Anyways, we are going to throw all that out and just plug this directly into jab flurry. So no matter what, that troll will do a jab flurry for the sake of debugging. Just see how it plays. Pretty good. That hit me. And already we're seeing that it is a bit right-leaning. That was pretty good. But we can, luckily, I have this built in for this exact problem. We have an offset for the rotation. So like, let's just say we make this 45. Let's make it 90 so you can see it. So it'll track the player. Like, the enemy will rotate to face the player. And that is like when they're doing their attack animation. When that is active and inactive is very important. Like, so it's usually less for the jab flurry, but let's plug into slam so I can demonstrate. Because the slam will I'll turn that off. The slam will rotate to face the player for 0.8 seconds and then will stop after 0.8 seconds, which is a little bit before the attack hits. So you'll see he'll rotate to face me and then he'll stop, right? Because you need to be able to get out of the way. If he tracks you for too long, that is bullshit, right? But you can see he tracks to face me. And then he doesn't track like before his attack, or else that would be bullshit, right? Like I remember there were a couple enemies in Dark Souls 2 that tracked for too long, and people got really angry about that. But the jab flurry is less about dodging at the last second and just backing off. Anyways, but there's an offset here. So if I make this 90 degrees, he'll track me but he'll be off by 90 degrees, hopefully. Oh, wait, well, let me plug the jab flurry in. Right. For the sake of debugging, we're just going to have him do the same attack over and over again. just so I can make sure it works. So now he will look to the right, or yeah, right. So he's tracking me to the right. If I make it 90 degrees, negative 90, right, he'll track me to the left, or his left to my right, right. So when we do 0, so this is, yeah, for the sake of kind of fine tuning it. So if we do 0, he's looking perfectly forward. He's actually a bit too far to our left. So we're just going to make it negative 5 degrees, and hopefully that will, what just happened? All right, this mouse has a back and forward button. If you click it, it messes me up. It like takes me to a random window, freaks me out. But okay, so now we'll be like brick to the face. No? Let's do negative. I just want to make an extreme example. Yeah, that's a bit too far. Yeah, so let's do like negative 15. Then also be brick to the face. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, there we go. Player weapons have enemy tracking as well on PS4. Main reason they're really good. The dodgebacks and technically tracking. That is more determined by the lock-on. Your character will just rotate to face the lock-on. But yes, you're right. You rotating to face the lock-on is dependent on, like, there are times when you're not rotating to face the character because the enemy you're locked onto because of the charge attack and stuff. It hasn't something that is not something I've emulated for the PS1 version. Maybe I might, not too sure. Yeah, he's rotating a bit too hard. So what I'm going to do is, for this kind of stuff, when they're just always rotating to face the player. Yeah, see that's a bit that's a bit BS, right? That's a little bullshit. So he should rotate to track you, but he should rotate a little less. So what I'm gonna do right now is add another variable. So this is like the underlying code for the rotate to face player, right? This in the parent. This is the enemy parent. So all characters, all enemies, all parent actors of enemy parent. Sorry. Oh my gosh. All children actors of enemy parent have access to this code. So when I change this, this will also be available in all the other characters, all the other enemies. But we're going to make a new one in here and call it, let's call it tracking strength. Tracking strength? What should we call this? It's so funny. Like the most difficult thing I have is like naming things in a way that's easy to understand immediately because I'm going to forget this. I don't have the entire code base in my head, right? Yeah, we'll do tracking strength. So we actually have tracking strength in here already, 3. So it defaults to 3. So we're going to make this a variable first off. And we're going to default the number to 3. So when all other characters have this exposed, it won't be 0 or else they'll never track you. Default to 3. We're going to plug this in after so our nodes are not confusing or slightly less confusing to look at. Good reroutes. Okay, now we plug tracking strength into here. Okay, so now we go to troll, we now have a new variable that defaults to 3. So all the other characters will have this, but they'll be unchanged because we kept their default, right? So if we do like 10, it will be like super tracked. This is like garbage tracking. Like that is garbaggio. 3 is a little more lazy. He will lean behind me a little bit. Hello. Right, so it's a little bit behind, but if we do 1.5, let's try. He'll lean behind a little more. Maybe. Let's keep going. Let's try 0.5. This might also just be incorrect, right? If we do 0, he shouldn't track me at all. I might be mistaken, though. No. So we are now into the state of debugging. What does this number actually do? Rotate to interrupt speed. No, it would be 0.1. 0 is off, actually. Laziness, when you get 0. No, he's not. It's not really doing a whole lot of changing. Can you simply move to dot? Can you simply move to dodge it in PS4 without dodge rolling? I'm not sure what you mean. But yeah, it looks like it's doing nothing because my theory was incorrect. So let us get a little bit deeper into this. Well, I think something's wrong with my RInterp, honestly. We gotta squish some buggies. Let me turn this off and plug you in directly. Jimmy's asking if it's an attack you can avoid. You can only avoid the dodge roll, or simple move you can avoid it. Long story short, I don't know. And that is a number that is a level of authenticity that I'm not too fussed about if I get wrong. It's not about making an exact copy of the PS4. There we go. That's better. It's not about making an exact copy of the PS4 version. It's about just getting the important stuff correct. So it's really kind of just getting the important stuff correct and not focusing too much. Like, oh, if I play these games side by side, they're not perfectly the same, and that is wrong, right? Okay, so if I just hard code these numbers in, it looks like it's working as it should. So there's a bug somewhere. So when it's at 0.5, you are very far behind. When it's at 5, then you are super come on, you see me. Now you are super tracked. Yeah. So somewhere in the process of me typing the number in is being messed up. Right? Yeah, now you're super behind. Okay. So now we just got to print some values. I'm not sure if this will be big enough for you to see. Do I need to hop on stream so we can Wonder Twins solve problems? I'm not sure what you mean. Okay, 3. Was I... Okay, you're working now that I'm displaying the information. Okay, so you just fixed yourself. Is that what's going on here? You just fixed yourself? Oh my gosh, it's heartstrings, Dev. I couldn't. Your text is so dark. I can't read it. Jimmy said, I don't really know how good the tracking is in the trolls. I always parry them. I know Bloodstar beats so you can avoid answering text moving. Yeah, so that's the thing. That actually brings up a very good point. Where you play Bloodborne so much, you start to just focus on the dominant strategies, and you don't really get to not appreciate, but you don't get to experience the enemy as it was like designed for, like all different approaches, because you just approach it that one best way every time and forget how the interesting interactions work. Like there are some animations that I saw that I've never seen because they are more because you just never see them because they never have a chance to show you because you're just parrying them every time. There is actually, let me show you the flail combo. This one right here. Like, I have not seen this in what feels like years because he never has a chance to do it because I just parry him all the time, right? Because the windup is like identical to his single swing. It's the same windup, right? So like I never really have a chance. And if I just made this guy from memory, the flail combo would not have been in there. You know, because I'm too focused on the dominant strategy. Yeah, it's just fascinating. Heartstring said that's why I said I was laughing so hard when Twitch emailed me that you're streaming Nightmare Creatures came on and saw you for. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. Streamlabs used to let me set the tag beforehand, but now when I hit stream, it just opens the stream and keeps all the previous settings. So I fixed it in like a minute, but I guess all the emails came out already. So I don't know how Twitch works. Ow. Okay, so the bug fixed itself. So now, if we set the tracking strength to 4, you will now track me perfectly, or almost perfectly, right? Right, that is complete bullshit. So we do 0.5, and yeah, that's a little better. I also just need to be play tested. Jimmy says, honestly, I like fighting most enemies, but every new run, I just run past most everything in Central Yarn. Absolutely. My newest like casual playthrough that I'm doing, I'm just like playing it, forcing myself to play the game on its own terms. Right, I'm not using the music box and spamming Molotovs and parries for Gascoigne. You know, like I match his aggression and do like kind of like how you're not how you're supposed to, but it's a little more of a like I am new to this boss fight. How do I fight this person? I hit him more than he hits me. I don't exploit. I don't use the music box, or like Cleric Beast. I don't unlock and focus on his butt because that's just easier. I do the lockout. Oh boy, incredible! We are in Crash City now. But gosh, where was I? Yeah, so my new playthrough is just like I'm not just gonna like run past all the enemies, do all the perfect shortcuts and get Central Yarnum open up fully in 5 minutes. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna fight all the enemies of the bonfire, I'm gonna fight the troll. Yeah. Cute desktop. Oh, thank you. My friend drew that. Oh, I really liked it, so I made it my desktop. Okay, but that's right, so there's actually one thing I forgot which is really important, which is the damage type. So we're going to do that now. So basically, can I insert a track? Perfect. So I have notify states. I don't know if this is the best way to do things, but do I have the damage in here? Do I get hit in this jab combo? I don't think so. No, okay, that's fine. So we're going to make all these light attacks. So the damage type determines the amount of damage that gets dealt to you and which flinch animation you will get. This is probably not the best way to handle things, but it's just what I have now. So we'll actually make the last one a shove, which is low damage, but it causes you to fly backwards for the shove animation. So if we just do this might just kill me. Yeah, it's just going to kill me. I might have to level up a little bit. But if we change this to heavy, or if we change the first one to shove, Matthias is not following, thank you. So if we do the first one to shove, it'll launch me backwards. And then all the other ones will miss, right? So we don't want that. So we want them all to be light attacks. I might make the light attack do a little bit less damage. Damage, attacking. It's up here. Okay, so light attack would be 120. 20. 16. Slybalto, hello! How are you doing? Good to see ya. Okay, so yeah, that feels good. That's a good little damage hit. Like you feel really bad when you get caught in that. Working on slices, working on plans for a 3D tile set. Nice. Oh, I'm dead. Okay, and this will trigger. Okay, so it's pretty good. Yeah, that feels good. I would say that is a successful. That is another animation, another attack in the books. So we now have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want to do a couple more. But like, I don't need to do every single animation. Like the flail combo. The flail combo I want to do. That's going to be another long, annoying one. Sorry, this one. Alrighty, games. Hello. So like this one is like, ugh. Like, do I really have to animate that? That's like 5 whole seconds. Then I don't have all the animations here. These are just a capture I did for a couple minutes. So whatever, but I'll do a few more. But let me... Oops, light map density. Okay, so now we have the full functionality exposed. So, just gonna do that. Got hit him in the butt, he's gonna do his spin attack. Gonna do a slam. Hit him a few more times. He's gonna do his, do that, and he's gonna do his jump attack, which I definitely dodge out of the way because I'm awesome. Yeah, he's gonna do his charge, another jump attack. Come on, do it. Do your flail. I'm right here. There we go. Oh yeah, I have an Xbox controller right here. It's just right in front of my. Oh jeez. In front of my keyboard. Yeah. So when you're far away, he'll do the charge or not. He'll do the charge or the jump attack, right? So he should do the jump attack next, because they just do it in sequence, right? So I can like kind of predict what he's gonna do. He's gonna do a charge again. He like alternates. He does charge, jump attack, which I could randomize. Once again, I kind of like it being predictable. I feel like that's a little more interesting for like players to pick up on and like be able to predict what the character will do. I feel like that's like a high level play thing and not like bad programming. I mean, it could be. It could be both. Who knows? What is code? Aggro distance? Oh, I know what you mean. I haven't done that yet, but that is definitely Liam for breakfast is now following. Hello. I'm not sure if I will, because kiting is not something that is possible, or less possible. Hello. Because there is hard loading, right? So like I want to leave. Hello. Hello. Hello, but I just say like I leave. Right? Like he's not going to follow me here. Because it's a loading screen. Like he gets he gets flushed from the cache, like from everything else. Well, yeah. Let's say I go into Yosefka's clinic, right? This is an unfinished level, so don't expect like a new reveal for a new level. It's just like a 3D Windows maze screensaver looking level. Yeah. Like, he will not follow me here. Like, even if he could fit through the doors, he cannot follow me here because he does not exist anymore, because he's in a different instance. His level's not loaded. So I'm not too sure how much kiting I can do. And, like, programming in having enemies follow you through loading screens is going to be a nightmare, and I'm just not going to waste time doing that. Or, I mean, I'm not going to spend time doing that, right? Irrelevant Izzy is now following. Does he respawn every time you leave the area? Yes. I might have deaths persist. I'm not sure. This is definitely getting, like, I say this every time, right? I'm not making the PS4 game identically with PS1 graphics. I am reinterpreting Bloodborne as a PS1 game, and there are just some things that Bloodborne does that you just cannot do on a PS1. So there are things that are going to have to change. So having enemies respawn when you just leave the area and come back, because that's just what happens when you load a level without having any information of that level saved, of like the state of that map saved. That is just something that is just what happens. And like, do I want to fix that or fix that? Low CS is now following. Hello. And like, do I want to fix that? Do I want to keep it? I'm kind of leaning on keeping it because that just feels a little more PS1. You're like, oh, he's alive again? Well, that's not realistic. Like this game is bad. But yeah, so like the core game, the core game loop will change, and already have persistent enemy deaths. There are definitely PS1 games with persistent enemy deaths. Not all of them though. Let me explain it this way. Like, I can point to every single PS1 game and say there is an example of this happening, so I can put it in my game and no one will think twice about it. But sometimes it is something that is so important to the center of that game that no other game would really do it because it's on lower priorities, right? So, like, yeah, there is full rim lighting in Vagrant Story, and there are super high quality models in Vagrant Story, and persistent enemies in Resident Evil. And if I take all the best things of every PS1 game and combine it into one game, that is no longer a PS1 game, right? So I kind of need to pick and choose what I'm getting at. Like, I would say I kind of wanted this game to be a janky little jank game, you know, but it's already kind of turning into like a high quality PS1 game. So I already feel like I have fallen into that feature creep trap, which is bad. And there are things. So like, you know, if I put persistent enemy deaths in, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do that, and then I'll do this one thing, I'll do this one thing, and all of a sudden I made a game that's too good for PS1, right? Like it's and too good, I just mean in terms of like features and like what's expected of a PS1 game, not what's technically possible. Because if someone like just, you know, if someone downloaded, got their hands on dev kit and used all the programming technology and stuff to make a PS1 game now, that PS1 game would be very different to PS1 games that came out in the 90s or whenever. When did the PS1 come out? I forget. 96. I might be totally wrong. But yeah, so that's more getting into the that's getting into like the philosophical armchair game developer. Like, what is a PS1 game? What really is a PS1 game? Really, like type of game design, which is a little squishy and really hard to understand. I need to update that death animation. I don't like it anymore. But yeah. So you know what we're gonna do next? We are going to. There is a bug right now where if you attempt to heal, with 0 vials, your game soft locks. So I cannot move anymore because I attempted to heal. So you know what? Let's fix that. This is the perfect time to fix that. So let's dive into the main character. This is under quick items. So we have throwables, bullets, healing. Okay, so yeah, that's right. There's a roguelike NES game made last year, if I'm not mistaken, and it's too good to be a real NES game just because it's made using today's tools and standards. But it's actually right on NES. I remember, was it called Micro Mages, or something like that? I remember I saw the Micro Mages character, and I was like, wow, like the art style looks like an indie game, even though it's made for the NES, just because of the art style and the tools that are made today. And isn't that just fascinating? That's just so fun to think about. If a PS1 game was made today using the same tools, like you've got all like an old computer with the old software, the old like animation stuff, and made a PS1 game now, it would feel fundamentally different, even if it was made with the same tools and the same hardwares, because of design sensibilities have changed so much. Very fascinating. Was Micro Mages last year? My goodness, feels so long ago now. What is time? Oh yeah, Shovel Knight. I think even the developers have not admitted, it's not a secret or anything, but like the developers mentioned that like we're accounting for nostalgia here, like which is fine. Geez, bots are getting super annoying right now. Anyways, where was I? Right, so if we heal, it goes through, and if we don't, it's soft lock. So all we need to do is right. Okay. So all we need to do is when you're done healing, it is turning this stuff back on. So we just need to is using quick. Okay, cool. So if is using quick items is true, that you can't move, and we never turn it false again. So we're turning it back to false, and then we will be able to have our full functionality. So do this, and then cool. Rose tinted glasses. Otherwise, I was yeah, and that's like that is a direction of making an old game, an old style game. That I'm not saying it's worse than like making it authentic. There is a reason why Shovel Knight is so beloved, and a lot of more accurate like new games made in an old style are not as popular. It's also just because Shovel Knight is a damn good game, but yeah, that's fine. Like I'm okay with either style. It's like they're not better or worse. They're just different, right? Whoa, hello. I feel like I'm kind of good with this enemy. Like I'm okay with this enemy being the way it is now. The only thing that's missing is the visceral attack, right? It's like you can't visceral them right now. It's not even dealing damage. That's weird. Yeah, look into that. Um, JLN says, should that stop one from trying to develop games to work on older systems like PS1 or SNES, etc.? No, I feel like I oversimplified it when I said that. I wouldn't say one will lead to more financial success. I think that's just because Shovel Knight's really good, not despite, but it's really good outside of the fact that it's an NES alike kind of, but not really, but kind of. So I'll take back what I said there, but yeah, I don't think there's any reason for um I don't feel like one variation is better than the other. Jimmy said, so the blood vial is an item alongside all the other items. One quality of life thing that DS3 does allow you to hold the down hold the down button to return to the first item in the queue. Quality of life things are things I am not interested in for a PS1 game. Like I said, it's feature creep, right? We want to be like, oh, what? I press it and then like it does like, oh, what? I gotta cycle all the way through. That's so annoying. That's classic PS1. I'd argue that's like classic PS3 and PS2 and also PS4 sometimes. Like I'm not interested in improving the Souls formula. I'm just trying to demake it, right? I'm not gonna like, yeah, I'm not gonna be like, well, I can do this better, you know. And now I have an opportunity to make it better, so let's make it better. That's not what I'm doing, you know. That's not what I'm trying to do here. Oof. Super Home X says it's kind of the same situation with NES-like games. Like NES games, like NES-like games suck right now because they have a lot of bullshit that modern players can't tolerate. All those terrible controls in PS1 era or some stupid game to set. I don't know about that. Like they're old, I guess, and they are outdated, I would say, but that doesn't make them bad. There's also like hardware you have to consider. I brought this up before, I think, in a stream, but it's like how do I describe this? It's like in I had a friend who could not get into Ocarina of Time, and it was because it's it's old. But the problem is not the fact that it's old; it's the fact that it's not to our current standard, and our current standard is not better per se. I guess you could say like if you tally it all up objectively, which is impossible. But let's just say you could, it would be better. But there are different design expectations in the 90s and in the early 2000s compared to what we have now, and I think that is a issue with a lot of people is they go in and they have their expectation of what a game should be based on 2020 or 2021, and they go in, it's not like that, it's frustrating. But obviously that's true for everything. You go into a game and you just have expectations. It's a third-person game, it should probably play like X, Y, and Z. And if it doesn't, then that's... Why is my window so huge? And if it doesn't, then like you are frustrated because it's not what you expected. And when games do that, it's usually good. Like when you know you're deviating from the norm of what a game should be, what a game should feel and play like, you need to put more focus on emphasizing the differences, right? Like Portal 1 was a completely unique game. It is a first-person puzzle game that is not how first-person puzzle games work. So they spent a lot of time being like, okay, this is how the system works. We need to teach you how it works. And now, if you made a first-person Portal-focused puzzle game, you don't need to do that anymore because people now know what it's like. I mean, you should, but you don't have to put too much focus on it. Now, obviously, Ocarina of Time does not know what it's like to play a game in 2020, so it can't do that to you. Although Ocarina of Time does put a lot of focus on things that we now take for granted because people didn't take that for granted back then because this was like one of the first action 3D games, right? So you spent a lot of time like crawling through holes and talking to people teaching you how to do stuff, and Navi is being annoying and like, all that stuff because people have never played a first person or a third person 3D action game before, so Navi kind of has to go in and tell you what the heck to do. Um, Also, the controller is weird, and like, yeah, you could play the game for an hour and be like, I don't like this. This is annoying. It's not like it's spending way too much time teaching me how to walk. Like I know how to walk. I've played third person games before, and like this controller is weird. But once you start, like after a couple of hours, you kind of forget about all that, and then you start to meet the game on its own terms, and then like you get it, and it's definitely like the first couple of hours is really difficult, but once you start to like flush your expectations of what a video game should be, and just start to engage the game by itself, it really starts to feel better. So I just when you're playing an old game and you're like, this is bad, like just give it a shot, just like hang on for a couple more hours, and you'd be surprised. Is I guess what the takeaway is. Anyways, I should get back to working on this game. But yeah, that N64 controller, what the heck? Like, I can still acknowledge that thing is not aged very well. But that's also another very fascinating thing to talk about, if you don't mind me not working on this game, to talk more about the weirdness of the N64 controller. It feels like a prototype Wii remote, where you hold it one way to play a 3D game, then you hold it another way. I have an N64 controller. Hold on. Where is it? It's somewhere here. Oh my gosh, where's my N64 controller? Hello. Okay, well, I'm gonna hold an invisible N64 controller, but yeah, you hold it with your left hand in the middle prong and your right hand on the right prong to play your 3D game, and then you hold your left hand on the left prong on the D-pad and your right hand on the right prong to play like an NES game. That's exactly like the Wii. You hold it one way to play your little waggle pointy point game, and then you hold it sideways to play your NES games or whatever. And I just find that super fascinating as like a hello old siren, as like a proto like virtual console type thing. Where like, oh, like, I'm gonna play an NES game, so I'm gonna hold my hands on either side of the of the controller, and if I want to play a 3D game, I put my hand in the middle with the joystick, and my right hand where all the buttony buttons are to play my 3D game. I get it. It's very fascinating. I don't think they were successful at all, but some people are like, why did they design this alien 3 hands? But like I get it. It makes sense. It's just fun to think about. Um, Matthias says, how do you handle the UI widgets? Each actor component has a reference for its own widget and handles its update, or do you just have a central BP with all the widget references that just read data from the actor PPs in the game? More like the second. I can't. Excuse me. Sorry. I can't like summarize it in like a couple of minutes. But I have a parent UI, main player UI, and this holds all of the sub UIs. So I have like the health. I think this is called resource bar. So this is just a resource bar, right? And you can like change the color. So like if I made a joke, I can pull a Twilight Princess and like in one of the back of the box screenshots, it's we got like a magic bar or something. But yeah, we also have like a resource, item resources, and our enemy info down here, and like we have like a lot of these are hidden. We have like the leveling up screen, which I should probably instance out into its own, but whatever. Um, Char 17, the middle stick is exactly a Wii nunchuck, further proving your point. Exactly, it's even got a Z button. But yeah, isn't that fascinating? It's so fun putting a lot of stuff together. Close that. But yeah, so like Matthias, when he asked, it's more like the latter. I have like one parent that has all a bunch of smaller widgets slotted in. and that parent grabs information from the main character blueprint and like distributes it out to all of the children widgets. And 64 tried to make a versatile controller for 3D and 2D at the same time, but since it was the first of its kind, it didn't work exactly as I imagined. I believe exactly, JLN. It's it's a step. It's the first step. I think the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation are both really good. First steps into 3D gaming. And there were a couple stumbles, but net positive. Yeah, weird controller. Okay, so we fixed the Jamie says make an N64 version. That wouldn't be well. It would be because Unreal is not structured like this, but it would be interesting because you could turn on texture filtering. So actually, I could show you because Blender has texture filtering turned on by default. So like this would be the N64 version of the model, right? Like the filtered texture, so it's just a blurry mess, right? I joke about that. But yeah, that's fun to think about. Yeah, right. It just looks immediately like an N64 model. So if I enable, I'm not going to because I feel like I might screw something up, for the sake of just having like messing around. But if I enable texture filtering, um, it would probably that would probably be like 70% of the work. Would be just turning the texture filtering on and messing with the resolution and stuff, and like the contrast and like the frame rate. I think that'd be really fun. Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. I like fork the project off and make when the game's done, just turn all the texture filtering on. Oh, I got bamboozled. This enemy that I made outsmarted me. Okay, so another bug. While we're fixing bugs, as you can see, when I use my gun, my bullets on the top left goes down by 1. Right? So the Vaseline filter all over screen, exactly. I actually need to look into post-processing for like CRT effects. But account also hello, Franklin catching stream. Hello. But yeah, like PC effects. This is like raw pixels. This is not what a PS1 game looks like, right? So I would say it would be optional if you wanted to feed this through an actual CRT. Like you plug a CRT into your computer, boot this game up, put the window up there, or you could turn it on if you just want to play it on your LCD screen, or if you just want it to look like this, which some people are cool with. But here's a bug. So I have 6 bullets. I pick up 10 more, and it stays 6. It doesn't update, and then when I shoot, it goes down to 15. So it's just not updating the visual, but the actual number in the code is correct. So let's fix that. We're going to delete you. We are going to when you look at the pickup, which this particle is also very not final. This is like a billion particles. I want to make a flip book. I just haven't gotten around to making it, and I need to stand in. Lloyd says, "Rest in peace, entity." Yes. What game was that? Continue 987654321. There was a game that was about like you are a enemy that is being cleared from the cache of a game engine, and you had to survive it or something. It was really funny. But yeah, every time I think about like an enemy being cleared from the cache, I think of that game. Okay, so I'm trying to remember. Heartstrings Dev, if you're still here, this is actually slightly based off of the witch inventory. I didn't copy and paste any code though. It's fundamentally different how it works, but it's the core concepts are the same. Well, if I want to be very, very specific, this is actually both Witch and this game are based off of my sorcery game. But anyways, that is continue 9765321. Okay, cool. I'm trying to remember how this works. Yeah, okay, so we're updating. So we're updating our inventory. So we're like our name, the image, right, blah, 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 blah. And then when we're finished, it should update the visual. Update quick item. Oh, you know why? Because this is for, okay. Okay, update quick item. We also need to update, yeah. Okay, I know exactly what's going on. So when we pick up an item, it will update this box number, but we're not telling it to update this box. So this will catch all the consumables, right? We pick up health vials, we pick up molotovs, we pick up pebbles, throwing knives, whatever. This will be fine. But when we pick up bullets, it doesn't update this one. So hopefully we can just do. It's going to be. This is like one of the first things I did like 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah, 4 months ago we started January 7th. So I need to kind of refamiliarize myself. This is the item resource bullet. Uh, Update bullet counter. Okay, so I have one built in. So we're just gonna plug this in. Okay, so the character that picked up the item. And we're just gonna update the bullet counter every time. Like we could do a check, like if you picked up bullets, update the bullet counter. That's not really that big a deal. Like the amount of overhead we would potentially lose is just not worth the amount of effort putting in like a unique branch if we were picking up bullets, or if we contained bullets or whatever. Cool, there we go. Okay, so let's do it again. So we were at 9. My favorite weapon, the flame sprayer. So we're at 6, and then we go to 16. Perfect. Okay, that was an easy fix. Account says BCW. What are the poly texture stats of the main character? Do you know from memory? I don't know the exact number, but I know it's in between Snake and Irving from Final Fantasy VIII and Snake from Metal Gear Solid 1. It is. I got an average of those two. Because I know Snake is very low poly and Irving's a little bit like the Final Fantasy VIII characters aren't pretty much on the higher side. So let's get the number. 850 triangles, and the texture I believe is 64, 128. Wow, yeah. So it's 128 texture for both the body and the head. So that's a 256 texture. Pretty high, but it is the main character, so it's not that big a deal. No, actually, not the body and the head. The body and like the flesh, like the fleshy bits. So I think it's both the head and the arms. I think the hands are in here as well. Yeah. So this texture was done by Mino Art. Very good. It's probably the best texture in the whole game. Very good texture. Yeah, all the textures that he does are incredible. He also did the he did a lot of the textures. He did a lot of the textures you see in this scene right here. He did the ground texture, like these bricks. He did the I did the gate actually. Pretty proud of this. He did this fence here. He did the walls, like these, like yellowish ones. Yeah. Anyways, I did this texture. The grass, very difficult texture. Old Sirens, are you able to pick male, female player models? No, because I have removed the male, female, binary flag and just distributed all of the things that are exclusive to male or female and just give it to everyone. So right now, like the body type is just a curves, right? So this would be like masculine, and this would be feminine. And also the voices, so you can it's just voice 1, voice 2, right? So just voice 1 is this scream, voice 2 is this scream. I kind of try my best to, because a lot of games are starting to go in that direction. I was playing um the new Star Wars TIE Fighter game, the VR one. What is that game called? Um, anyways, That game, and it just had all like the male heads and squadrons. There we go, like male heads and the female heads and the male hair and the female hair, and just put all of that in one big pile, so you can have any head on any body with any hair and use any voice, and that just doesn't matter. And that's honestly, that is easier. That is easier to program than having things enable and like show up and disappear depending on if you are male or female. That it's just arbitrary and more difficult to program, you know. So one, I think it's more inclusive, and two, it's just easier. So like, why not? You know, like, gosh. Anyways, getting a little bit heated. I definitely, people are talking about big head mode. I definitely want to do big head mode as a cheat. I want to do cheat codes. I want to do old cheat codes. And I might like sneak in an easy mode into the cheat code, so like invulnerability or whatever. Head size 10 is already pretty big, as you can see. Here's like tiny head. I pushed up a little bit farther than like what the Bloodborne PS4 version has, just because of resolution, and it's just more fun. So the big arms, like the tiny stick arms. I like tiny stick arms. Anyways, what was I saying? I was getting deep into something. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyways, so can you make Konami cheat code to unlock Alucard from Symphony of the Night? Well, I mean, hey, if there's a 3D model of it, I mean, no, because then Konami would kill me. But I'm already nervous. I'm already nervous enough from Sony getting on my butt, so I don't want to add anyone else. You know, let's throw Link in here. I'm sure Nintendo would love that. Okay, so he fixed those 2 bugs. That's good. I kind of want to do some more fun programming stuff. Like, the animation was fun, but that was like an hour and a half of me staring at one model. So let's, what I'm going to do right now, hold on. Accountant says, makes sense, been making a retro model of 2B and 800 tries with the 256 texture. Seems to be right from the little research I've done. It had multiple solid textures, but that's just size combined. Exactly. And the enemies definitely are a lot less in quality. But that is true for all video games, I would say. Like, a random mook is definitely a lot less quality than... This is a 64 by 64, and the poly count, I think, is 500. 340! Wow. Look at that. But yeah, like a random mook in any game is probably going to be a lot less resolution and quality than the main character. I could probably get away with doing a little higher quality for the trolls, because they're kind of big. Anyways. Also, Nier Automata over PS1, that would be pretty rad. I'm pretty hyped for that. Do you have any Matthew says, do you have any Unreal Project prototypes that we can buy to learn game dev from? I don't, but I will be releasing the source code when it's finished, just so people can do whatever the heck they want with it. Like, God forbid someone wants to finish the rest of the game. Like, I'm not going to do it, but I'm not going to stop anyone if they want to. Or, you know, just take the code, but yeah, just dive in and learn from it. So I'll be releasing this, hopefully, if I don't get shut down. Please insert disc 2. That is really funny. I like that. I don't know. I'm thinking of, like, just throwing the credits up early or something. I'm not too sure. Like, have it end super disappointingly, go through a door, and it's like, and that's it for Bloodborne 1 credits or something. I don't know. But yeah, what I was talking about, I don't want to do any more animation because it's kind of boring. I mean, it's fun, but it takes a very long time. So I want to do some more interesting code stuff. So I have a few things in my like pockets for a rainy day. And I think now is time to pull one of them out. One of which is the arbitrary FPS limiter. Can be improved a little bit. So let me turn that on, the debug text on, so you can all look at that and see. I had it up in a tweet, but just so you all can see it. Turn this on. So this is the arbitrary FPS limiter. So as you can see, it has FPS, and then it has the limiter requests. So one of which is the flame sprayer fire. It's not displaying for some reason, so I think I just said my debug's messed up. But you can see that the the FPS drops to 14, right? And you let go, it goes back up to 20. So for some reason, the limit request is not displaying properly. So let me look into that. Please tell me you can't hear that car alarm. Okay, good. Okay, I just have this turned off to save our performance. Okay, so yeah, so there are no current FPS limit requests. When I spray, it'll say the flame sprayer will limit. So, also when an enemy gets hit with fire damage, they get covered in fire particles. Yes, JLN. Yeah, so it's arbitrary, right? So if we drop in our favorite enemy, the troll. So when they get hit, they also tank the frame rate even more, but by a much smaller amount, by like 1 FPS, right? So we have both the frame sprayer and fire damage from the troll. Wow, that was a mistake. So now we're at 13 FPS. Trolls are too good. The one reborn 2 FPS. So hopefully, if we got the crow doesn't have a texture yet, but if we drop some crows in, crow. So if we drop some crows in, I'm sorry, what? Hold on, we got a bug. Like, right. Player hit length is now player distance. That is a more accurate name, even though it's not even doing anything. But crow, yeah, both the crows and the werewolves are kind of slapdash. Anyway, so actually, let me hold on. I'm gonna make a save. I'm going to let's do it the old-fashioned way. I'm gonna return to the Hunter's Dream, because and then save my preset. I'll also unlock weapon transformations because that is something that you unlock in this game, rather than just having it at the start, which I might change. I'm not sure if I like the design decision anymore. I might change that back to this being unlocked from the start. Because I'm thinking, this is just an idea. Let me ask chat. I'm thinking of having. I was already thinking this of having the insight act kind of like stars from Mario, or like Jiggies or collectathon. It's a collectathon resource. So I'm thinking the insight would unlock doors and stuff. So like, I think this already happens in Bloodborne. So this door here, right, into the Hunter's Dream. So there's no, I don't have the inside yet. But like this door is locked, and when you get one insight, the door is open, if I'm not mistaken. But what I want to do is in Bloodborne PSX, the door is locked, and there's a little insight icon with a 1. And it's like, you need 1 insight to open this door. And then when you get 1 insight, you walk up, you press A, the character goes like, or does an animation, and then the door opens. It's just like, with the insight's power, the door slowly opens or something. I think that'd be fun. And then like the backyard with like I'm not sure if we don't have messengers yet. Does it consume the insight? I don't think so. It wouldn't consume the insight. Just like it does in the original. But yeah, so I'd say like this, like the backyard would have one. I'm thinking like the boss room over here would have like a 99 block or something. I'm not sure. We're not gonna have the German fight, so spoilers, I guess. I'm not sure about that, but anyways. So right now the workbench is out here. When you upgrade the Saw Cleaver, unlocks weapon transformations. I don't like that. I would definitely remember this cutscene. I would definitely change it to just be like, in the workbench there is a 4th button that just says unlock weapon transformations or something. And it's in the workshop, so you need 1 insight basically to have weapon transformations. Is that I think that's too much. Maybe the workbench is just active from the start. So just the first time you die, you can unlock weapon transformations. I'm not sure. I like the idea of it being unlocked though. That feels very PS1-y. But yeah, I don't know. Where's Forza Groom? Is there a PSX tutorial area? You can keep weapon transformations locked as the player progresses to the end of the tutorial. You can make a little movie for the, like when you press the button on the door, it gets a new loading screen, and then the animation door opening or not opening, and the character reacting to it. Yeah, I'm thinking of the Hunter's Workshop interior being its own instance, or just a slightly faster loading screen because it's a small area. But yeah, PSX tutorial. Oh, FMVs. I don't know about FMVs. But yeah, PSX tutorial would probably. I mean, Bloodborne has a tutorial. It's like the random area in the Hunter's Dream with all the messages like dumped on the floor. I kind of like that. Anyways, getting way back on topic to the FPS limit requests. So if all three of these are on fire, we'll get like a whole bunch of requests, and our frame rate will just tank, right? So we were at 10 FPS for a second there. Oh gosh, Jimmy. Yeah, having a manual would be so fun. Like you can really go super far with this. I don't know, like if I do all these ideas, it would take years to finish this game. And that's not even like making the actual entire game content, but like oh the box art and the CD and the manual and oh it's in the back of the CD case. The password to open this door or whatever. Yeah, there's definitely lengths that can be gone. I'm not sure if I want to go that far, but yeah. Anyways, so this is our current FPS limit request system. The password. Oh god, Jimmy, that was so good. We're not doing the forest though. It's too far in the game. Stray Curtis, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. But anyways, so the issue is this kind of only works for this is independent of what's currently on screen, and it only works for small temporary bursts of FPS limiting, right? So let's just say we have some super complex thing like the Cleric Beast on screen, and the frame rate would just be low when the Cleric Beast is on screen, and then when you look away and the Cleric Beast is not on screen, the FPS would go up. I do not have support for that, so I think that would be a fun thing to do. So let's do that. So we have the we would fork it off, but we'd have a different version. We'd have the current like a permanent FPS limit request. So as long as that request is present and activated, it will tank the FPS by a set amount. Like this is just on. Doesn't matter if it's off screen or not. It will just lower your FPS. Pebble, bullet, bullet, bullet. There we go. Right. So we also want like an on-screen version. So I think the FPS limit request is anyways, yeah, so that is in the game mode. So this is just display, right? Yes. So okay, I'm trying to remember how this works, but I need to have a version where if the limiter, the source of the FPS limiter is not on screen, ignore it. Right? So I need to do some tests. So we're going to have this would be under blueprints general. This is where all the goodies are, right? So we got like our Fall to Death Void, we got our item pickups, we got I think our doors are in here. Like our doors. This beautiful door. We have our switches, ladders. This is where all the goodies are. With like our ladder height, right? Anyways, so it would be in here. So we will do a blueprints. We'll call it EP. For the FPS, what we call this? FPS limiter Like we have like the static FPS limiters. It would be like an FPS limiter, like I mean, I guess they're all render limiters. So I'm gonna say render limiter, screen space. That's good. Yeah, FPS, FPS SS. No, no, FPS limiter, screen space. Thank you. Very good, Matthews. So we are just going to do a. Let's just throw a cube in here for now, or like a tombstone. Okay, and then just on go to see display some information. Um, sorry, my partner just brought me some food. I love them so much. Anyways, we're gonna print string, and we're gonna do. I forget how accurate this is, but it was recently rendered. And turned tolerance to 0. I want to say this is not as accurate or not as accurate to what I want. And we'll make this blue because just to follow my own um, not solid blue, like visual language. Blue debug is a dynamic actor, right? It's like a gravestone loader or level up station, weapon workbench. These are like dynamic actors, and the red ones are red. Anyways, so was recently rendered true, false. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, so when it's on screen, it's true. When it's off screen, it's false. So that's pretty good. That's perfect. I don't know if you can actually read that debug print in the top left there through the stream. But okay, so what we're gonna do, I guess this will have to be a tick check, huh? We can do a check. It's a timer. We got like 0.2 seconds, 0.5 seconds. Well, that's really good. I thought you were going to have a raycaster or something. No. Yeah, there's some really good nodes. I actually find it really fun to just turn off context sensitive and just like go into some of these and just be like, oh wow, get magnitude for frequencies, or find one that you find interesting, like actor or camera, and just look at these, and you learn a lot by just going through and looking at it. So is everything in Unreal Blueprint based? This looks like it could be fun to try. Not everything, but you could make a whole game with just blueprints if you wanted to. This game is an example. My previous indie game Arcus is an example. All blueprints. I mean, there is code. I'm just not editing any of it, right? Okay, so this will be a timer. So on begin play, when the first frame, we are going to set timer. It's going to loop. It's going to be, I guess we'll do like 0.25, so 4 times a second. We're going to do is recently rendered, branch. Okay, so we now need a, so the FPS limiter is one half of the equation. The other half is how much of the limiter is there. So, for example, when you use the flame sprayer, what's going on here? Hold on. Did I disable something again? Here we go. So when you use the flame sprayer, you go from 20 to 14, right? But when you hit an enemy, it goes from 14 to 13, right? So the enemy catching on fire only drops by 1 FPS, but the flame sprayer, because it's so many particles, it drops by 6. What was I saying? Right. So the amount of FPS limiting is also a thing. So we need to. I forget how it works. I think it is. Let's look at the flame sprayer. Another thing, just for anyone wanting to get into game development, it's good to split up your code. So all of the weapon attack specific things are in the weapons blueprint that I then parent to the character, who mostly just holds running and walking and like health and stuff, not on any of the attacks. and they work together. It is better to split it up than to have one massive blueprint that contains everything, because this compile can take you like 30 seconds. You click this button, 30 seconds, and you can't do anything. Super annoying. I learned that from Marcus. Anyways, Harstring says, still laugh at you, and we could do which in BP. My programmer gets all the time, but no, we need to do plus plus. And about a month into coming, they must I was wrong. You'd be surprised how powerful blueprints are. Anyway, so I think, yeah, right here. So this is ratio driven. I'm not saying subtract 6 frames when you use a flame sprayer, because let's say you're playing at 60 FPS and you want it to be like it. You're playing at 30 FPS versus playing at 20 FPS versus playing at 15 FPS. Dropping 6 frames is very different for every single type of FPS. So I'm doing it ratio based. So it's by 0.4 is a pretty big chunk. 0.1 is a tiny drop. And then like, 1 is like you lost all your frames. So that's when like the super giant big attack that fills the whole frame, for like 0.2 seconds. You do Twitter ratio based, yeah. That'd be 1. It'd be let's do it. So frame spare 1. Yeah, so that is half, I think. And because of this, because it's ratio based, you would never get to 0. You'd never get to negative frames, right? Even though it would have clamped it. Anyways, yeah, so back to our screen spaced FPS limiter. We need a variable here. I'm just going to call it frame limit amount. We're going to expose it. We're going to default it to 0.2. Okay, so I'm just going to copy it from the flame sprayer. Yes, okay, I remember now. So we're going to get so many tabs. Here we go. Okay. We're going to get the game mode. We're going to get the what is it called? Frame limiters. Should rename that. We're going to get our frame limiters. So, and then we're going to add. Oh, context sensitive is not this one. Okay, cool. We're going to add our frame limiters. Should we add or add unique? We're going to do a. Because if we do add, it will add a frame limiter every 0.25 seconds, and we only want it to add 1, right? So we're going to do once is 4, and then when it's off screen, we wanted to remove it only once. So we're going to add. We're going to give it a name. This is just for the sake of debug. We're just going to say. I'm just going to call it screen space. Actually, no. We're going to get the name of the actor. So we're going to do reference itself, and then we're just going to get a display name and append. Actually, no, that should be fine. And we're gonna lower it by. Let's do point. No, we're gonna lower it by our frame limit amount. Duh. And then when it's off screen, we're gonna do the exact opposite. So we're gonna remove, which will okay. We're gonna remove the exact same name, and so now FPS limiter screen space. We're at 17 FPS. Excuse me. We're off screen. We're back to 20. All right. Let's make this I'm sorry, Matthias. What were you saying about 0.5 instead of 0.4? Oh, I did. Good catch. Okay. Cool. Okay, so we were like, oh, this is a heavy tombstone. Then we look off screen, and then we get our frames back. Yeah, so now we don't have to do anything with blueprints. We can just take our frame limit amount, crank this to 0.4. Right? Yeah, okay, so now we're at 14 frames per second. Like, oh, this is like a super dynamic tombstone. Like a million triangles. It's off screen, and we're back at 20 FPS. There is a bit of a delay because of our timer. We're going to change our timer to 0.125, I guess. Beautiful. I love that. Okay. And was recently render is great because obviously when things are occluded, they won't render. So it's hiding behind the pillar. We're at 20 FPS. 14, 20, 14. So that's good. I'm amazed by how quickly you got the implements. Thank you. You can thank Blueprints for that. Okay, so we're not done yet though, because this will only work for static objects. But let's say we're going to drop. This will be fun. We're going to drop a cleric beast into this level. You know what? Just for the heck of it, let's just fight cleric beast in this area. This works surprisingly well. I mean, obviously doesn't have the boss health bar, but ow, I'm dead. Okay, anyways, you have to put stuff in it. Didn't just break. It's true. It happens sometimes. Okay, anyway, so here's Cleric Beast. Looking the wrong way. Hold on. Let me nom some of the food. Does Cleric Beast become a regular enemy later on? I know Bloodstarved Beast does in the DLC. But does Cleric Beast ever come back? Okay. Anyway, so the issue is we do not want a floating tombstone. Like, alright, here we go. So here's our current Cleric Beast. We're going to add a child actor. We're going to parent it to the static mesh, or to the skeletal mesh with the, we'll do it in the middle, so spine 2. We'll make it the FPS limiter. Let's make this a sphere, actually, not a tombstone. I have a debug. Sphere. Perfect. Okay. So okay, so do we have the stuff exposed? I don't think we do. Oh, we do. Beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna do 0.4, 0.3. So now we're looking at yeah, okay, so we're looking at the Cleric Beast and it's like, oh my god, the frame rate's awful. I probably won't make it that bad. Let's do 0.5. Also, let us turn collision off of this model, or preview model. The problem is we obviously have a blue sphere on the Cleric Beast, which we don't want. Also, I want the debug name to be, oh, excuse me, the owner? The owner? Get owner. It should say Cleric Beast. Hold on. I want to be able to, like, get whatever it's... Get parent actor? Because the debug it's important, right? When you want to get the name correct. So this is not just the FPS limiter, it is the Cleric Beast's FPS limiter. Okay, cool. Okay, so This is the cleric beast. Cool. So this is the cleric beast screen space FPS limiter. Oh, just called SS FPS. I don't know. That's a bit. That's a handful. So now when we're debugging, okay, because like, like, oh, we're getting all these FPS drops, and I don't want them right now. So we need to turn this on, look at all of them, and see what's happening. But yeah, cleric beast screen space FPS limiter. The problem is if we make this, we don't want the blue ball, right? We don't want to see that. But if we make it invisible, then it's not rendering, right? Like we do that, and now it's not rendering, so it's returning false. Matthias, yeah, I guess it should be fine. Let's call it up. So we basically need the render. We need to actually render without showing anything. And the problem is, like, if we make it super tiny, it'll be inside the cleric beast and therefore not rendering. So, only owners see, perhaps? Will that do it? No. So, only thing I could think of. This is very stinky. I'm not sure if I want to tell anyone this, so don't tell anyone. But we might just do a I did this in my in my Unreal Engine speedrun. If any of you saw that. Where we do don't ever do this at home, kids. But we do. Gosh, there's no transparency here, is there? Oh, let me check into true. So ignore that. Hidden in game. Yeah, nothing. Anyway, so we're going to have a. Oh boy, you know how much I love compiling shaders. Okay, we're at what, 1,800 shaders? Gosh. Like, come on. That's gonna take like an hour to compile. Shara says, gotta go by and thank you for the stream. Learned a lot. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Hold on. I'm just gonna restart Unreal. This is infuriating. Oh, come on. I'm not standing around for this. Go away. Okay. I'm so impatient when Unreal starts to waste my time. I'm so impatient. All right, let's see here. Basically, I have a way to do it. It's just super janky, and I don't want to do. But, actually, I lied. I have a better way of doing it. Because culling and rendering is determined by the, not the actual mesh, but by the mesh's bounding box. So we're going to make a different sphere. We're going to call it a, I should call this SM underscore. FPS limiter, SS FPS sphere. A lot of S's in there. SM SS FPS sphere. First, we're going to we do not care about this mesh, so we're going to just do a force collapse. Oh, come on, where are you? Excuse me. Reduction settings, here we go. So we're just gonna like lower this to like 5%. Cool. That's better. Okay. And then we are going to, okay, so the bounds, this right here. Excuse me. You can see the yellow, but this blue box, very faint. This is what determines if the thing is rendering on screen or not. So we are going to just, you know what? I'm going to make my own, a new mesh, actually. It'll be more accurate. It'll be cheaper too. So we're just going to do one triangle. Let's unwrap it, because why not? Okay, so we're doing it. We're getting rid of the blue ball. We're going to put this in game assets. Environment, general, mesh. Okay. So we have our, it needs to be kind of, hold on. This needs actual geometry, doesn't it? Okay, that's fine. This needs actual space, I mean. Okay, 2 triangles. I thought you saved these settings, come on. Okay. Got our triangles, we're gonna put, to stay consistent, we're gonna put our blue grid material on it, because it's a dynamic thingy. Okay, so look at our texture warping and stuff, isn't that fun? If you make it a component instead of an actor, then put it on the cleric base, would it consider the entire cleric base model instead? So you wouldn't need to do all that. That's a good point. You know what? That's genius. You're a genius. Let's do this. I'm thinking way too hard instead of just start trying a different angle. Yeah, that's genius. Okay, get parent actor. Get no. Okay, so if well, let's just plug this in. Get parent actor is recently rendered. Let's try it. Cleric beast. Cleric beast, where are you? Gosh, I was tunnel visioning. You're totally right. Um, and there you go. Wait. Oh no, it's not gonna work because JLines is a wish I could help. I'm never using a real engine. That's fine. No worries. I'm not expecting anyone to help. You know, I'm just chilling. You're always rendering because something. Okay. I There is a bug that might not make this viable. Um but I think I'm going to keep it this way for now. Um yeah, this is good. Okay. Okay, I think this will work. Thank you, Matthias. That was very helpful. Got me on my laser focus. Started doing super jank stuff. Um, okay, so all right, so we got that in. Let's um, what else can we do? I guess we can continue working on. Oh, here's one more thing we're gonna do for the stream to finish off the stream because we're at 3 hours. Golly. Keep calling them ogres, but they're trolls. Yeah. So hello, troll. Let's put your texture back. That's better. All right. So I'm just going to, instead of animating a whole new one, I'm going to make a copy the swing, because there's two different versions of the jab flurry, right? There's one where it's just a 4 hits, and there's one where it's 4 hits followed by a big swing. Um, and I think I will just do. I'm just going to copy paste the keyframes of my big swing, and then edit from there. Yeah, that is shockingly effective. Excuse me. Let's see, speed it up a little bit. Yeah, I'm sure people will notice, but I don't care. Okay, so I just need the root motion can get back. Just copy it. The root motion didn't transfer over, but it's fine. Didn't transfer over. Okay, perfect. So that is a pretty good little hack together I did. So let's get that imported. So it's just jab flurry to. Oh, hold on. Uh, put it in the right folder. There we go. Jab flurry 2. Control. Okay. Actually, you know what? I lied because we're going to have to put all the keyframes and stuff down. So don't crash on me. Come on. Okay. So we're just going to have jab flurry because it starts the same. So let's see if this works. This is a little life hack, I guess. We're just going to duplicate it. So we have a duplicate with all of our keyframes on down there. We're going to change the source file to be jabflurry2. We're going to re-import. There we go. We have all of our stuff. And then we just add our. Then we just continue on, right? Okay, go do all our footsteps. We're not going to make the last one a shove. This one will be a light attack, so we will line you up for the super big follow-up. Or should we make it a medium so your stagger's longer? I'm not sure. Okay. And let's do a control screen. Yeah. Okay, no particle effect. That's good. We're gonna do a trail. No, we're gonna do yes. We're gonna do our attack start. Boom, and then down. We're gonna do our weapon trail. Okay. Oops. Perfect. Excuse me. Then we're going to not sound. We're going to change our damage type to heavy. Okay. So this is just a duplicate. This is like a variant of jab flare. So I wouldn't call this a whole new attack, but it'll be identical basically. We need to put it into our hold on. We need to put it into our montage. Montage. get used to that while I type this in. Okay. So this will be jab flurry 2. And we will have this trigger basically at the same as jab flurry. This one will actually be randomized. Actually, no, but it won't be randomized, but it will be it will like occupy the same space as jab flurry. So it's not, they're not registered as two different attacks. They're registered as the same one. Just there's just two different versions of them. So let me turn off my um we're turning off the FPS limiter display stuff. Okay. Control. I try not to use the search bar for everything, but yeah, at one point you're gonna have to. You end up doing it. Okay, so you know what? Let me just display the let me just force this pair. That messes you up. I like that attack. I need a death animation that will actually, where you actually fall over, because I only have one death animation, so I should get knocked back here, but I just stand in place because I only have one. So I should have one where you like knock over and the character's like, oh, falls down. That'd be good. That's not true. I have a death animation for falling from a large height where you like belly flop on the ground. Also need to fix that blood. It like floats sometimes. It's attached to your capsule, not the actual character model. So you know how well, maybe you don't, but turn collision on. So like this capsule, that's the actual character, right? The 3D model inside is just pretending to be. So it's attached. So when you get hit, the blood attaches to the capsule, not the actual character mesh. So if I get hit by the big one, you'll see it. Watch the blood. Like, you know, it's following the capsule, which is less than ideal. I would say even for a PS1 game, that's not really acceptable. So I'll need to fix that. Let's fix that now. You know what? Why not? We're doing fun little bug fixes right now. Jimmy says Crash Bandicoot style, where you turn into an angel. That'd be great. This guy's difficult. This guy might be too hard. I'm not sure. I'm obviously the worst person to judge the difficulty because I made this game and I just say I coded this game and therefore I am the best at it, right? So, anyways, yeah, let's fix the blood. Hopefully, yeah. Super generous parry window. Yeah, so yeah. Right, so we need to do parrying. Not today, but I'll probably do that tomorrow, maybe. That'll be good. That'll be a good thing, just one big thing to focus on for the day. Instead of doing like peppering a bunch of small things like I'm doing just for the sake of keeping the stream interesting. Right, so blood damage. Blood damage, not blood damage, but the blood particle damage. Let's see, this is like damage stuff I haven't really. Yeah, this is all super old stuff, so I don't really have this on my active memory anymore. Calculate, yes, calculate damage from your defense. Set the health, amount change, cancel all your attacks, cancel your animations, play the appropriate damage animation, and like stop your stamina from recharging. Is staggering blow, but where is the spine particles? Is it set in the enemy? That would be awful. Oh, it sure is. Okay. Okay. There are iframes, yes. Okay, so we're spawning the blood trail on the attacker, from the attacker. I don't think I like that. I don't like that at all. But it's because this information is exposed. No, that's why. Okay, because our trace. Because this information is not exposed. Okay, hit bone. Let me print this. I forget how accurate print bone is, but let us check a look. We're just gonna print it. Yeah, I have to. Why is it? Oh, hide unrelated. That's why I was turned on. Um, because this information doesn't get passed through the damage, so we don't have this information available in the main character. Um, so will this be like got hit in the head? None, of course. Okay. Um, okay, so hit bone name doesn't work. I'm trying to think of a best of. We're gonna have to design our own bone hit detector. I guess it's not going to be accurate, but it doesn't need to be. It just needs to be in the general area. I'm thinking like if it's top half, attach it here, and the bottom half, attach it to like one of the legs. That should be fine. I don't even think there's enough pixels to look at frame by frame and be like, that didn't hit there, that hit there. As long as it's following the character mesh, that's really what matters. So you know what? I'm just going to right now. For now, well, let's see how this looks. Mockup Prima Strategy Guide. Half the information is on their website. Play online. Um, so we're just going to hard code it to attach to not the head. Headless Hunter. We're going to attach it to spine underscore 1, maybe spine 2. Yeah. So just every time it hits, it will be in spine 2. The location will be correct. So if you get hit here, the location will be there, but it will be parented to like right here, like your abdomen. So when you move around, the blood point will follow you. But like if your head's like this, it will float. But I still think that's more accurate. That is the level of accuracy that we need. I don't think we need to be any more accurate than that. There's a point where you're just putting too much effort into the amount of um, quality you get out, right? There's definitely like a point where you pass where like I'm putting in hours of effort to make sure the blood follows the right bone. And it's like, does that really matter? You know? Well, I died there, so great. Well, let me just force the I think the slam does the heavy damage, the knockback. Okay. Well, I didn't see any blood at all. Excuse me. Well, that's great. We're finding bugs all over the place. Hit me! Oh, I know exactly why. It's because the no. I know exactly why, but okay. I can fix that later. I'll fix that in a second. Nice. Okay, what's happening here? What's going on? Everything's breaking. Everything's breaking. Why did I get whiffed? I'm not sure. Well, if it comes up again, then we will, or let's say I will take care of it. I won't handle that on stream. But okay. So the issue is if we get hit by the trace, then it will take the information from the trace and spawn the blood trail. The issue is there is another thing that can toggle a hit that's not from the trace. And it's basically if the enemy's capsule collides with yours, that will also cause a hit instead of the actual like traces that are happening. And of course, when that happens, there's no data from the trace, so that's a bad. So we need to fix that. We need to make it only spawn blood when you get hit by the trace at the correct location, and then if you get hit by the capsule, it will spawn it at a different location. So we need to expose. Sorry, I'm kind of designing this as I'm going, so it's kind of hard to talk through it. But we're gonna make a new bool. Um, Capsule collision damage. So if you get hit by the capsule collision, it'll be set to true. And if we don't, then we set it to false, and it'll be that simple. And then from there, I really don't like making variables when I don't have to, but this will be the easiest way of doing it. So then we'll make a few exceptions here. Capsule collision net. What do you say that rotation? Okay. No, we're going to do yeah. So if the capsule collision damage is false, we're going to keep world position because we know the position. But if it's true, we're going to snap to target. Keep world scale, I guess. Um, so if you just get collided by the capsule and not from the hit, it will just spawn the blood at the center of the character. There we go. So it spawns like at your gut. So that's fine. But if it get actually hit by the brick, not by the capsule, it will spawn where it is correctly. But it'll be parented to spine 1 or spine 2. So like the abdomen. And yeah, when you fall down, it falls. So the blood is no longer floating. And that's all that really matters. It doesn't matter like if you get hit by the side of your head, the blood is actually at the side of your head. Oh gosh. The blood is actually like parented to the side of your head. When you move your head around, the blood follows because the character's not that big on screen. The resolution is super low. So I'm not too fussed by it. Um, so we're done with that. However, this is dependent on each character. So this is actually very bad because when I do a fix, I have to do the fix on every single enemy, um, which is not great. Luckily, I only have like 4 enemies. But yeah, so this is an example of bad code. Don't do this at home. I should condense all of this. I think it's unique per enemy. There are some small differences per enemy, but I should condense a lot of this down into a universal function. So when I change it, it'll change across all enemies. I don't have to do it by hand. Um, Cleric, Beast, Crow. Okay, yeah, I did all. Okay, so I'm gonna say this is finished. We're finished for today's stream. Today's PlayStation 1 Bloodborne dev thread is finished. I usually make posts while I go, but we were streaming, so I couldn't do that. So I mean, I guess I could have if I really wanted to, but yeah, we've done like 4 or 5 different things. That's enough. Yeah, 4 hours of work. I might do a little more, but that's good enough for a day. So yeah, that'll be enough to fill a thread out. I try to get at least 4 videos a day. Sometimes I do 3, sometimes I do like 5 or 6. But yeah, we did enough work today to fill out a whole Bloodborne PSX dev thread. So I'm going to be working on composing that now. But before we do that, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to drop in like 1,000 trolls, and we're going to see how it goes. So get ready, I guess. A whole bunch of trolls. I love the update threads. Patiently waiting the day I can get my hands on this masterpiece. I won't call it a masterpiece, but I appreciate it. Anyways, it was really nice hanging out. I learned a lot. Thank you. Let's fight 1 billion trolls. We're also going to nerf their damage because we're going to die immediately and that won't be fun. For performance testing purposes, of course, yes. So we're just going to do all attacks will do 5 damage instead of like 100. All right, here we go. Hold on, let me turn their attacks on. Hold on, I recorded that. Oh no, absolutely not. I can't even get a hit in. Hold on, the door will give invincibility if I can just turn around. Oh, they finally killed me. Oh, that was incredible. Oh my gosh, I really liked that. Hmm. That is so funny. Can they damage each other? No. They cannot. But to make this more accurate, not totally accurate, but we could use something that we made today. The FPS limiter, right? Screen space FPS limiter. So let's do like 0.05. Shaman's Bone Blade. There we go. That's better. So yeah, so when they're not on screen, we're pretty good. And then we turn to look at them, and the FPS just dies. Let's do 0.08. Make them a little more expensive for our little PS1. Oh, that's what I call Bloodborne. Oh my gosh, I want to see how did they kill me that fast? Okay, I'm gonna do another recording. I want to post this. It'll be fun. They all charge at the same time. That is so entertaining. Okay, I think that is a perfect way to end our stream. So thank you very much. We ended on a highlight. I just wanted to do that. I've never done that before, so that was fun. Um, but yeah, thank you everyone for hanging out. That was very entertaining, and I think we did a lot of fun things today. So I'm not sure if I'll do this again. It definitely like hinders our productivity a little bit because I do go off on huge tangents and have to talk and blah 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 blah. But it is a fun treat to do every once in a while. So I think it'll be fun to do it at least like once a month or once every couple of weeks or something. So yeah, you all have a good evening, and I will see you in the Twitter thread. All right, all right. I'll see y'all later.